So hello students, let's start with our ethics lecture. So today we will start with our new chapter, that is emotional intelligence, and it's one of the most important chapters because consistently UPSC has been asking question on emotional intelligence, and they're not asking any vague question as such. From other chapters many times they ask questions which requires you to think a lot, but more or less when it comes to emotional intelligence, the questions are on the expected lines. So the same content is going to be used in the answers directly many a times. I'll show you some PYQs also. You'll get to know how the same content will be used. Okay. Now, before we understand what do we mean by intelligence or this emotional intelligence, first basically try to know the idea of intelligence. You see, this intelligence is one thing that has made human beings so powerful. It is said that there were so many species on this planet, very large species like dinosaurs, but they could not survive. And we have one species called human species who is right now ruling on this entire planet. I'm saying ruling, and these are the words of Yuval Noah Harari in his book Sapiens. So when I'm saying humans are ruling on this planet, there is one thing about humans which is differentiating them from other species, and that's what we are calling as intelligence. We are intelligent for sure. When we say intelligence, we're talking about the ability to learn something, to understand something, to comprehend something. Here we are talking about our cognitive skills and cognitive abilities. So we learn, we understand, we apply that knowledge somewhere else. We go for solving many problems. If there is change in the situation, we use the same knowledge and then apply it to that situation so that we can adapt to that new situation. So we adapt, and most importantly, we make decisions. Now this decision making is something where this intelligence comes into picture. Now mostly traditionally when we were looking at intelligence, so what we do to know who is more intelligent and who is less intelligent, we check the IQ of that person, right? Traditionally we used to check IQ to check who is more intelligent and who is less intelligent. And when we were talking about this IQ part, this intelligence part, it involved your thinking and reasoning part, more or less thinking and reasoning part, memory, problem solving, all these skills. Nowadays we are talking about artificial intelligence. What artificial intelligence is doing? Even artificial intelligence is able to think, go for reasoning, memory and learning, problem solving, decision making. Right now the car that is being made, the auto car, or what we can call it as car which can run on its own. You don't need a human being to sit in this car. The car is in a position to make all the decisions, when to brake, when to go for increasing the speed or acceleration, and that too is calculated better than human beings. So with time we will get to know that there will be some units made through artificial intelligence who can show intelligence which is way better than human beings, right? Now there is one problem. When we talk about such intelligence, we are just looking at one dimension of intelligence, that is the logical mathematical dimension. So when we check IQ of a person, how correct it is to say that a person who has got high IQ, he's more intelligent, and a person having low IQ is not so intelligent. Now traditionally we used to think that's the right thing. With the time we got to know that intelligence is of different kind. So we have a psychologist called as Howard Gardner. This psychologist has given a theory called as theory of multiple intelligence, and he said our way of looking at intelligence through just one dimension is a wrong method. So for you, it's just those people who have this logical mind. In reasoning they are doing better, in mathematics they are doing better, that means they are intelligent. It's not like that. there are different kinds of intelligence. For example, there is something called musical intelligence. So if you talk about playing music or playing a kind of instrument, now that's a different intelligence altogether. You might not know mathematics, you might not have a very logical mind or reasoning mind, but still the kind of music you can bring in, that even Einstein cannot do. So that's musical instrument, which musical intelligence that is present in few people. There are few people who have got this naturalist intelligence. Naturalist means they are very near to nature, they can understand nature. You must have seen some videos wherein some people, they understand what these animals or these birds are trying to say, or what they are going through, what they are feeling. So the ability to read nature, or understand these living creatures, that is naturalist intelligence. Now you compare one person from, let's say, Bangalore, who is working in IT industry. You may say he has got really good intelligence, but this is the intelligence he is having. But there is a person, let's say, living in the tribal area of Chhattisgarh. He knows how to communicate with some animals. And here we see another kind of intelligence, that is naturalist intelligence. Then apart from that, we have something called linguistic intelligence. Linguistic means some people are good with language. They understand language, they speak multiple language, they communicate through words, and they have got a really good hold of vocabulary. They know how to speak things. That is linguistic skill or linguistic intelligence. Not everyone is having that. Something we have called spatial intelligence. Spatial means you can understand the world in 3D. See, if I ask this question to students, many times they say it in a very wrong manner. If you're sitting inside your house or in a building particularly, and if I ask them, tell me in which direction the metro station is, someone will say in this direction, someone will say in that direction, someone will say in this direction. Why are we getting different answers? Because everyone does not have this spatial intelligence to understand this direction part, to understand the world in 3D. Some people have this. Then we have something called bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Some people dance really well. Can Einstein dance? Think about it. Then some people can make some bodily movements which not everyone can do. Or some people have got motor skills. You know, some people learn driving so easily within just 3-4 days. And there are many people who take at least 1 month, 2 months, and even after 6 months, they can't drive the way this person is driving. So there is some element which we call as bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Then we have something called existential intelligence. There are some people who think about existence. Their understanding of existence is way different from others. They think about, who am I? What is life? What is the purpose of life? They get into those deeper questions, the fundamental questions of life. Why am I even existing? Now here comes another kind of intelligence where you understand the why question of the entire world or life. Right? This is a different intelligence altogether. Many philosophers showcase this existential intelligence. And then comes interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. Now this is where I want all of you to focus on. Interpersonal intelligence. That means there are some people who are very good at the understanding between how to communicate between different people. So if I know how to speak to you people, if I know how to speak to many people, that public speaking part, the communication part, the social skill part, some people are very intelligent in this part. Nobody taught them in the educational system how to talk to people, but they learned. They have got this intelligence. This is interpersonal. And when I say intrapersonal, intra means it's about yourself. Some people are very good at understanding themselves. They understand their own emotions. They understand their own thoughts. See, you must be suffering from this problem that you don't know what is going on in your life. You feel like, I'm not feeling good. Why? I don't know. Why you're not feeling good? What exactly is happening in your mind? What are you exactly going through? You don't know. You don't understand your own emotions. You don't understand what is your own thought. But some people are good with it. This is intrapersonal intelligence. Whereas interpersonal, they'll be good at understanding others. Some people, see, especially the politicians, they have this interpersonal intelligence. That's why they can address a crowd of lakhs and lakhs of people. They can attract so many people because of this intelligence, right? So one thing we can understand, intelligence is not about just one dimension, that is this logical set, reasoning set, memory set, or mathematical set. Rather, the intelligence will be of different types, various types. Okay. Now, out of this, we are interested in this part only. Because when we are studying about emotional intelligence, we are going to talk about intrapersonal and interpersonal intelligence only. About one who can understand himself and one who can understand others. That's the part we are getting into. Clear? Basic part. Now we are ready to understand emotional intelligence. Okay. Now, first of all, we know that emotions, we have emotions, right? We are human beings, we have emotions. Not just human beings, even in other animals also you will see there is some role played by emotions. But understand one thing, these emotions can play positive role as well as negative role. How positive role? You become a civil servant, but let's say you're just using your cognitive reasoning mind. So you got selected, now you're working. Now in case you do not have any emotions, neither positive, neither negative, you don't have any emotions. So you're going to work like a robot. Whether it's IAS or any other profile, you're working, you're just using your cognitive mind. If you do not have emotions, you might not enjoy the process. Whereas there are some people, whatever they are doing, they are emotionally involved in it. They enjoy the work. So emotion is playing a good role in that. Or apart from that, when you are emotionally attached with something, then you do that thing in a very active manner. In case there is no emotion, you'll be like, why to study, what to study? You have got that emotional attachment that I want to become this, right? You get those emotional arousals. That's why you're studying right now. So the point is, there is some role played by emotions in our life. If there are positive emotions which are leading us, for example, one positive emotion which can make us very compassionate person, right? Your mother has some emotions, positive emotions. That's why even if you're doing horrible things, she's okay with it. She's accepting, she's forgiving you every single time. That is happening because of this positive role of emotions. So when emotions are involved, your decision making becomes better many a times. You are always motivated towards your goal. Otherwise, many people, many officers even after getting selected after a few years, they lack motivation to work. They don't have any motivation. If they have the emotional element involved, then they will be motivated. You look at some celebrities. Some celebrities are continuously active. Even at the age of 50, 60, they are still active. Why? Because they have got some ambition. They have got some passion. And here, the emotional element is involved. Emotional element is involved here. Okay? Apart from that, if I have to just note down, you will have good bonds with others. You love people. You trust people. That is happening because of emotions. If there are no emotions, why would you even trust others? There's no role of trust here. Right? Then, You promote well-being. You focus on satisfaction. Even if you're working, you decide whether you're successful or not. Based on what? Whether you're happy or not. Do you feel happiness from your work or not? Now again, there comes the role of emotions. Now my point is, we see some positive role of emotions in our life. But there is some role emotions play by making things negative for us. Let's say sometimes emotions, you are overwhelmed by some emotions, especially some negative emotions. Think about it. Negative emotions. For example, you get angry. When you get angry, and if this emotion dominates over your mind, you do something which is not good, which is neither good for others nor good for you also. You do something which is against your swabhav, your own nature, when you are very angry. When you are angry, when you are jealous, when you come up with that impulsive action, you take wrong decisions. So negative emotion can lead to wrong judgment or wrong decision making. Then there will be a lot of stress or anxiety because of emotions. For example, before prelims, just one day before prelims, you people panic, you people are stressed, anxiety. Why this is happening? This is happening because of that negative emotion. You're thinking that I might fail. You're feeling that I might fail. So negative emotion dominating, because of which your performance downgrades. Then it leads to bias and prejudice. So we talked about that dimension in the attitude. When you have got a stereotype, or when you have got a wrong notion about a particular community or people, and when the emotional angle gets added, after that you start behaving in a negative manner. So there will be discrimination, right? So this part will be there. Then sometimes people get into ego conflicts. Why? Again, the negative emotion dominating over you. Why do we need to even fight? So if I have to just jot down the basic stuff over here, when you have negative emotions, you're going to do something wrong. That's for sure. And when positive emotions are dominating on you, you'll do something really good. Now that's the difference between a person who can be called as a criminal and a Mahatma. See the difference? Both have got emotions. Or hero and villain. The difference is both of them are led by emotions. One is led by positive emotions, whereas other one is led by negative emotions. Okay. Now if this part is clear. So why we are talking about emotional intelligence is because we want to develop one kind of intelligence, that is emotional intelligence, which can ensure that I can control my negative emotions and I can bring in more positive emotions. Because I know if negative emotions will dominate on me, I will be on a very wrong track, right? I'll be on a very wrong track. Many students, even in the classroom, what they do, if I'm explaining something, or not in my class, in many classes I've observed personally, many students will get into ego conflict with the teacher. Now what are you going to get with that? You're not going to get anything by that ego conflict with any teacher or any student. Your focus should be rather on clearing the exam, right? Now coming back to the emotional intelligence. When I say emotional intelligence, we are trying to control our emotions. But to control our emotions, let's say I'm getting angry. I want to control that. To control, I need emotional intelligence. But to control, I should first understand my emotions. So the first stage in emotional intelligence is understanding. Understanding emotions. That's the first thing. And then comes the second state, wherein you regulate emotions. I repeat, if you want to control your emotions, regulate it, First, you need to understand that you are angry. If you don't even accept that you are angry, just okay, angry one can understand. But sometimes you feel very low. You don't even know what exactly you are going through. You don't understand your own emotion. First, understand it. If you understand, later on, you can regulate it. You can change it. Okay? So, when we say a person is emotionally intelligent, what he is doing is, he is understanding one's emotions. Now, first thing is understanding your own emotions. Okay, I understand my emotions. After that, I'll understand others' emotions also. Right? Then comes the role of emotional control. I understood my emotions. Now I understand others' emotions also. If I can understand my emotions, I'll try to control my emotions. Similarly, I will try to control others' emotions also. Now, how this will happen? Look at this part. In childhood, this must have happened with you. That your mother, she wants that you should eat some food, whatever she has brought, and you are not ready to eat. Now, she will tell something, she will tell a story, or she will say something because of which you will start eating. Nobody taught your mother this kind of intelligence, how to make your child eat something. His attitude was so negative about it. He was not even ready to listen. But still, she managed to do that. She exactly knew what to say, and after saying that, this person is going to eat this food. Here I am talking about emotional control. You are playing with the emotions of others. Playing as in here in a positive direction. Sometimes people play in a negative way also. So there are politicians, there are people, the people who lead terrorist organizations. What they are doing? They are playing with the emotions of others, and here they are manipulating, they are persuading. They know how to control these people, how to charge them emotionally, how to lead their arousal, emotional arousal. Right? So they are emotionally intelligent. Yes, they are certainly emotionally intelligent. That's why they are able to do this thing. Clear? Now, just remember one thing. When we say emotions, it's a very raw data. It's a very raw data. It can be positive for you, it can be negative for you. It's in a raw form. Okay? If you say, I'll be a person without any emotions, then you will become mechanical and robotic. Your decisions will be very robotic. So, for example, one example which I had given, that bureaucratic attitude, wherein when you're just thinking with no emotions involved, you can see that there's a person who is very poor. He has got no money, no food, no shelter to live, and he's asking for help to you. Now you are in a position of power over here. You're an IAS officer. But just because this person is not having any documents, you're not ready to help because you're just thinking logically, obviously again. If your emotions are involved over here, you will not behave in a robotic manner. Your decision will not be robotic or mechanical. So, emotions are needed for sure. Good emotions are needed. Positive role of emotions needs to be added in life. That will make our life better. This is one thing. And second, it is going to save us from the negative impact of emotions. If you are emotionally intelligent, if you are a person who is emotionally intelligent, then you will not let your impulse lead the action. You're getting very angry against someone, but you know that if you speak something that will cost you more, that will not be a good decision for you. Let's say two head of state meet somewhere. Let's say Prime Minister Modi and the Pakistani President or Prime Minister, whoever, both of them meet, and in that particular meeting, suddenly the Prime Minister of Pakistan, he got very angry. And in the anger, if he says, let's start a war, is it a wise decision? It's not a wise decision, right? So, emotionally intelligent person will anyway control his negative emotions so that there won't be any impulsive or destructive behavior over there. That's why we are trying to learn emotional intelligence. And civil servants or any person who wants to get into any leadership role, he must have emotional intelligence. If you want to maintain really good relations in your family, in your personal relations too, there also you need to have emotional intelligence. Okay. Now, this diagram you can make in your answers. It's a very good diagram to make and you'll fetch decent marks. Means, see, simply, if there is a direct question, what is emotional intelligence? Tell us about its components. We'll discuss components now. But people are writing answer. You make some extra diagrams. Here in the answer, here on the side, just make one extra diagram. No problem. Okay. Now here specifically, we're talking about the role of emotional arousal and how emotionally intelligent people, they perform better than others. It is said that those who have very high IQ, they perform good. But those who have really good EQ, EQ means emotional quotient, or we're talking about emotionally intelligent person, they perform way better than the people with more IQ. You think about this, many engineers, many scientists, they have very good IQ, right? Very good IQ, but they are working under whom? People who have more EQ, not IQ. The leadership skill, the people in the leadership, the top management people, they're working under them. So this is helping them. Although there are many other dimensions which we cannot neglect. Now see, when here on this side we have emotional arousal and on this side we are showing the performance of a person. See this dimension, when you're emotionally low, let's say you're not excited, just think about it, you're not so excited about exam or studying and all, what you will do? You will not study, even if there is exam, but because no emotions are there, you're feeling very low, no emotions involved, so you will procrastinate, you will be very lazy, your performance will be very low in this particular case, right? But you are excited, emotions are there, good emotions, very excited. Now you will study, especially this happens when exam is just very near. That time you're excited or little bit stressed also. Now here you will perform really good. Your performance will become better, and this is one stage after which your performance is not going to become better. Think about it. When this emotional arousal is way more than required, it leads to negative emotions. Just one day before exam, what you're doing, the emotions, you are overwhelmed by emotions, the arousal is too much. That's the reason you forget whatever you have read, you forget, you don't remember, you're stressed, there is anxiety. So here your performance will go down or degrade. So we say people who are emotionally intelligent, they know that tomorrow there is exam, I have studied since 1 year, they know that I think I'm getting panicked. They know this thing. Even in the exam hall, let's say you bubbled some wrong questions or some wrong options, people start panicking, their hands start shivering and all. But some do not. They are emotionally intelligent. They know that maybe I think I'm getting panicked, I should calm down. So this is the segment, this is the area or zone of emotional intelligence, and if you can maintain that, your performance will be optimal or really good. Okay, so I've tried to link your performance with your emotions and how emotional intelligence can help you with that. Clear this part? Any doubt till now? Okay. Now see, there is a person called Daniel Goleman, and this person has given one model to describe emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence? He described it and he has shown the core components, what all is involved in emotional intelligence. Even whatever I talked till now, all this is coming from the book of Daniel Goleman. The name of the book is Emotional Intelligence. Okay, now what he says, there are total 5 components, 5 things involved in the emotional intelligence. Number 1 thing is self-awareness. self-awareness, that you know yourself. There's a statement called know thyself. Know thyself means know yourself. When I say know yourself, I'm talking about knowing all of your emotions, your feelings, especially at least with the people who are very close to you. Means, let's say you have got a friend. Do you feel jealous? Do you feel jealous about your friend? Let's say he's succeeding in life, or whatever he's doing or whatever he has. Do you feel jealous or not? Please understand, this is one thing nobody can tell you. Nobody can really tell you. It is you who can understand whether you are jealous or not. People can judge that you are jealous and all. It's you who can understand. So self-awareness needs only you to understand yourself. Okay. For example, if I take one more example, there's a very thin line between religiousness and communalism. Some people are religious. They're religious. They love their religion. They believe in their God. They believe in whatever the text is saying. But I'm saying there's a very thin line between being religious and becoming communal. When you're communal, you give importance to your religion and you say all other religions are just crap things. Nothing is true in that. Only mine one is right. And then you start getting into that conflict with communities or people from different religion. See the difference? Nobody can actually tell you whether you are religious or communal. It's you who can actually understand, if you understand your own emotions and your own thoughts. Okay. So, to conclude, self-awareness, that's an important thing. That's the first step or first component which is mentioned by Daniel Goleman. There are many even philosophers who had already talked about this aspect. For example, Aristotle says, self-knowledge is the beginning of all wisdom. A person who understands himself, his own thoughts, his own emotions. See, as far as this Daniel Goleman model is concerned, we are talking about one's emotions only, not thoughts. We're talking about emotions only, right? But when Aristotle talks about it, he talks about all the dimensions. Knowing yourself, that's the core dimension, and you can use such lines. The reason why I mentioned here is for you people to use such good lines in the answers, in the intro, body, conclusion, wherever you can set it, just try to use it. Okay, then this one is a very good line again. Everyone is a moon and has a dark side which he never shows to anybody. One should be aware of one's dark as well as bright side. Very good line. That means you should know yourself. Simple. Good side, bad side, good emotions, bad emotions. There is problem with many people. They are egoistic. In their behavior, it is very much clearly observable. Even if you tell them, they'll not accept. Even if you tell them that, bro, you're being egoistic, he'll not accept. So anyway, what you need is self-introspection, self-awareness. Clear? Good to go. Now comes the second component. That is self-regulation. Now I expect that you have done this part. You're ready. You know yourself, you know your emotions. Now comes the role of regulating that emotion. So if you're angry, first you have understood, yes, I'm angry. You know, in that fight you came to know, bro, I think I'm angry. So self-awareness is done. Now I have to control it. So there is this movie called Welcome. What he does is, control Uday, control. What is he controlling? His anger? That's the self-regulation part. In self-regulation, what we do is, if I'm going to express any emotion, I'll try to control that. I'll try to change it. How I can change it? Either I'll stop it completely. I will not express it at all. Means I'm angry, I'll not show it. I'll just be calm. I'll say nothing. Or maybe I'll smile even if I'm angry. Happens. Or I can change the intensity of it. If I'm very angry, but I'll express only this much. This can happen. Or let's say I'm not at all angry, but I just want to show it to the other person so that I can threaten this person, so that I can change his behavior of whatever. I'm not angry, but I'll show that I'm so much angry. So changing the expression of emotions or the intensity of that expression, all that is part of this self-regulation. And you people do this. This part you do many a times. For example, if your mother is calling every single day, there is a video call from your mother every single day at evening at a particular time, where are you? She's asking again and again, where are you? What are you doing? And you are getting irritated. You're getting irritated, but still you will not show that irritation. What is it? You're not expressing. So this expression of emotions, you have regulated that somehow. Although you do it till one particular limit, and after that you will blast. But the emotional intelligence will say, don't blast. You should have that ability to control and regulate all your emotions. You should decide. Emotions should not decide what will happen with you. See, people control and then they blast. Why they are blasting? When I say blast, that means they'll just vomit all their emotions directly. But if you can regulate, the control will be with you and not with the emotion. Even if you are very, very angry beyond that limit, you will still have the remote control in your hand. That is the ability of self-regulation. Clear? Now for this self-regulation, Aristotle has said something really good. I personally like this statement a lot. He says, anyone can become angry. I repeat, anyone can become angry. That's very easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not easy. That is not easy. That can be done only by a person who is very emotionally intelligent. Clear? Again, utilize this line very well in your ethics answers as well as essay wherever you need to use it. Okay? Good one. 2 components are done. Now comes the third component given by Daniel Goleman. Third component is self-motivation. Self-motivation. Now I have given this example many a times that people lack motivation. Even in the UPSC journey, what happens is for few months, or let's say people who are in their 3rd, 4th, 5th attempt, they don't have any motivation now. It's been 3-4 years. They studied in the first attempt. They were preparing with a very good excitement. So much emotions were involved and all. But now, no emotion. Or people who got selected in the service, after a few years, there is no motivation to work. There is no excitement. There is no good feeling as such. So here, an emotionally intelligent person will have self-motivation. He doesn't need motivation from external sources. Usually, motivation will come from external sources, right? You need someone to tell you, or you listen to some songs or some speech, and then you get motivated. But a person who is emotionally intelligent, he will develop this ability of self-motivating. He doesn't need anyone. He's self-motivated. And you can understand, any such person will do the work, whatever he is doing, in a very consistent manner, because he has motivation from within. So obviously this person is going to get succeeded very easily, right? Then the fourth component of emotional intelligence is empathy. Now listen through this. When we talk about the first component, self-awareness, awareness about myself, self-regulation, regulating my own emotions, then self-motivation, that is about myself. So till now I was just talking about myself. I was talking about myself. That means one's emotions, whether it is awareness part or it is regulation part. I was talking about one person. Now we will talk about that interpersonal level intelligence, which will be part of this emotional intelligence. So we'll talk about other people involvement. So Empathy, when we say, so I've discussed empathy yesterday already, I think yesterday, right? So sympathy, empathy, compassion we discussed already. So when we talk about empathy, I said that when you empathize, when you have that ability to empathize with others, you can understand their mental state. You can understand their mood. If that person is happy, that also you can understand. You can feel it, you can understand also. You can even understand the depth of that happiness. See, there will be difference in the happiness. If you're watching a comedy show and you're getting happy, I assume that you call it happiness. If you're getting happy, it's a pleasure although, but even if you're calling it happiness, compare this happiness with a lady who has just given birth to a baby. She's very happy. Can you compare it with this happiness? Are these two same? No. Or third example, a writer who has written a very good poetry just now, he is also very happy while writing the poetry. Or a teacher who is teaching, who is enjoying the teaching. Can you compare all these things? I'm just talking about one type of, or one thing which is different for every person. The depth is different. You are able to know that thing, understand that thing. So whether it is happiness, sadness, or any kind of pain, whatever it is, you can understand that person completely. That's why we said about empathy, you get into the shoes of others, right? Now we say empathy is must, because in emotional intelligence, there is one element we said, that you understand the emotions of others. How will you understand emotions of others? That's only possible when you empathize. When you have empathy in you, then only you understand what this person is exactly going through. You understand his emotions. And when you understand his emotions, then you can take action. See, mothers know very well. See, a child is crying a lot. The mother knows very well how to handle this child. You try a lot, but the child is not listening. Mother knows very well what to do exactly, and this child will stop crying. Mother understands this child's emotions also. When this baby is crying, not child, rather baby I should call. When this baby is crying, whether this baby is crying to get milk or crying to, get me on a trip or something, that mother understands. So this is your empathy which is needed to understand emotions of others. Emotions of others. Now this is one thing you understood. Now you have to regulate also. So there comes role of the next component that we call as social skills. The next thing is to regulate the emotions of others. For that you need social skills. Now when we say social skills, it's about how to communicate with someone, what to say, when to say, how to say, all these things. All these things are involved. And you see, there will be difference in people. People who are very high, people with very high IQ, it's not necessary that they are smart in every aspect. They don't have that street smartness. A very intelligent person, a scientist, but he can't negotiate the way a normal person on the street is negotiating while buying anything, buying grocery or anything. He's not able to do that. So he lacks this social skill. So it will involve street smartness, negotiation skill, interpersonal skill, how to talk and all. There are many people, I've seen this many a times, people graduate, most of them, they don't know how to talk in an interview, what to say. They're not good with it. The communication skill, handling others. If there's a chaotic situation, how are you going to handle? Even if you become IAS officer, it's not necessary that you can handle a chaotic situation. There's a communal riot or let's say two people are fighting. Even at your home, if your father and mother are fighting, can you stop them from fighting? Do you know what to say so that everyone will stop fighting? What exactly to say so that they will calm down? They'll not get more angry, rather they'll calm down. So that is all what this social skill is all about. Clear? Now mostly when we talk about introverts and extroverts, mostly extroverts have an extra edge when it comes to this social skill part. They know what to say, when to say and all these things. They are good with social skill part, right? And obviously even introverts have some advantage in terms of self-awareness and all, because they spend more time with themselves. They try to understand themselves. So both have got advantage, right? Then you can make this particular equation in the answers. So first you will try to know yourself, then you control yourself. When you are controlling, now you will drive yourself to a particular direction. If you can control your emotions, now drive them towards good direction so that you become successful, right? Then you understand others and then you handle others. That's what you're supposed to do even as a civil servant. Okay, even you can draw this diagram. Intelligence, emotional intelligence is one part of it. Simple diagram, nothing new. Okay, done. Any doubt about Daniel Goleman? While writing answers, please mention name of Daniel Goleman. Okay, even in the definition you can directly mention about Daniel Goleman, or make one diagram of mentioning all these components, right, and mention his name. Yeah, if you have any doubts, please ask. Now IQ, EQ, now you understand anyway. I've just put it on the PPT so that if you want to just go through it, in case there is a question, you will have enough content to write. More or less you understand EQ and IQ both right now. When we say IQ, we are talking about your cognitive abilities, like the reasoning ability, the problem solving ability, the learning ability and all. When we say EQ, we're talking about understanding emotions of others, managing the emotions of others. That part is involved. So here role is of your mind, here the role is of your emotions, right? And the core stuff, where is it? Core stuff, its usefulness. If you have a very good IQ, you'll be performing really good in your academic stuff. You'll be technically sound, you'll do the problem solving, you'll do good maths, you'll be good engineer or whatever. In the academic stuff, you'll do really good. But if your EQ is very high, you can handle people really well. You know how to handle people, you know how to handle situations, you know how to work under pressure. So you will be in a leadership role. So leadership role you'll play really good. Teamwork also you'll do good because you have to cooperate with others. Everyone is egoistic. It's very tough to go for the teamwork also. If there is a problem, if there is a conflict, you can solve that conflict very well. Right? So that's why its usefulness, you can understand the difference from this part. Okay? Now for our preparation, because there was the UPSC had asked about IQ, EQ, but now we will also know something called as SQ. Okay, we'll go one step ahead of UPSC. What is SQ? It's about spiritual quotient. See, when we talk about IQ of a person, a very intelligent person, his intelligent quotient we are developing. Naturally also he has, and with time, with studying more, he's developing this part, he's developing his capability. Now if you have got really good IQ, you're going to get the job you want, you're going to get whatever you want, right? We are teaching students to improve their EQ also. Learn what your emotion is saying, how to work on it, how to regulate it, how to regulate others. If IQ can give you a job, EQ can actually get you promoted or you do really good in life. The best example if I have to give you, Shah Rukh Khan is a good example. Shah Rukh Khan has got IQ. Yes, he has got IQ. IQ means, I suppose, the acting skill or whatever skill he requires for his profession. That intelligence he has, yes. But there are many people who have got this IQ. Who have got this IQ better than him. There are better actors available. But still, he is so famous. Still, many people like him. So many people like him. Why people like him? Because of his emotional quotient. He makes people feel connected with him. So he brings that emotional element, which others are not in a position to do it. So he's a very emotionally intelligent person. That's why he got promoted to that extent. Right? This is important. To become successful in life, if you ask me, or if you ask even Daniel Goleman clearly says, if you want to get selected in something, or if you want to become successful, your 20% success depends on your IQ, and your 80% success depends on your EQ. This is for sure. Okay. Now, when we say spiritual IQ, we are getting into a deeper element. When we get into spiritual quotient, we are saying, we're talking about your values, your purpose of life, your integrity, ethics, the meaning of life. You get selected, you become an IAS officer, that was because of your IQ. But you do a normal job. But you have good EQ also. What you do? You empathize with people, you do really good work, you are very motivated, then you will do really, really good work. What will happen? You become famous, people will like you, people will love you. You must have seen there are many officers when they get transferred. Lot of people come there. Lot of people show their regret, or not regret, but they are very sad that this person is going. So you could build that emotional relations also, right? So EQ will bring you to this level. But still it is possible that you are not very happy with your life, or somewhere you have some potential to become something, but you are not actualizing it. Understand the difference between these two. All of us have some potential in us to become the best version of ourselves. The best version in all the terms. Best version in terms of your cognitive development, your, this IQ part. Best version in terms of your EQ part. But best version in understanding yourself, your values, your core purpose of life. A person who understands his purpose of life and he works accordingly, he'll be the happiest person in the world, and he actualizes his real potential. He becomes the best version of himself. His growth is of a next level, we can say. Okay. So when we talk about this spiritual quotient, so a person who has got IQ, EQ and SQ, that person is going to self-actualize. Self-actualization means realizing and fulfilling one's full potential, full talents and purpose of life. Okay, that's a very deep concept, we can say. And again, in the answers, you can utilize this content very well. Okay, this will be very useful even in essays. Now, going good? Now my question is, what is the relation between morality and emotional intelligence? Or if I have to ask in a very simple terms, what do you think? A person who is very emotionally intelligent, is he a good person or a bad person? Answer. Means, is there any relationship between EI and morality? That means if you are emotionally intelligent, that means you will be morally good or morally bad. Please answer. Now think about this example. A very good example from Mahabharata, Shakuni versus Krishna. Think about this. Think about just one dimension of emotional intelligence. Do you think Krishna is emotionally intelligent? Yes, he knows how to deal with emotions of his emotions as well as others' emotions. Do you think Shakuni is emotionally intelligent? Yes, he is also very emotionally intelligent. He knows how to deal with emotions. Now look at this dimension. We have two people equally emotionally intelligent. But one is doing something really good, who is having moral uprightness, whereas other person who is morally degraded, who is doing wrong actions. So I can simply say with this example that there is no relation between morality and emotional intelligence. You can do some really good actions if you are morally, if you are already a morally good person, and then if you are emotionally intelligent also, then you will have more potential to do something really good. For example, you look at Hitler, Gandhiji and Mao. See, these three people, all these three people, they are very emotionally intelligent. They're emotionally intelligent, that's why they could get so much crowd towards them. They could attract so much crowd, right? Gandhiji had got the entire Indian population. Hitler was controlling the entire German population. Mao, Chinese population. Whatever they used to say, people used to listen, people used to do whatever they say. So, for sure they had emotional intelligence. Now look at what Hitler did, what Gandhiji did, and what Mao did. And look at the potential these people carry. A normal person who is not so emotionally intelligent, he can't deal with so much crowd. He can't change the way the crowd is behaving. Gandhiji, one single person, he could change the behavior of entire Indian population. How he could do that? Because he was emotionally intelligent. That means, first of all, it's not necessary that if you are emotionally intelligent, that means you will be morally good person. It's not necessary. But if you are emotionally intelligent, then you get an extra edge, or you have the ability, not ability, rather capability. You have the capability to do something which is morally high thing or morally good thing. If entire population is doing something really wrong, let's say this kind of situation is many times given even in case studies and all. If there is a child marriage going on in your district, that too on a mass scale, 50 child marriages at the same moment, what will you do? Now, whatever actions you take, one thing will be, if you are an emotionally intelligent person, look at this dimension. If you are not emotionally intelligent, it's very difficult for you to convince so many people. They are already very conservative, it's very difficult. But if you are emotionally intelligent, then maybe there is a possibility that you can change the way these people think. You can change their behavior altogether. You can stop this child marriage very easily. So there is a potential involved. Clear? Good examples we have got. You can utilize all these examples. Now, one dimension about emotional intelligence, that is how we can use this emotional intelligence in the administration. How you are going to use it or utilize it in the administration, that is the question. So what we will do is, to answer this particular question, we will frame our answer also in the same format in which Daniel Goleman has given the model. That is, he has given 5 components. So even whatever I'll tell you right now will be in the same format. You can write the answer in the same format also if they have asked. Or if you want to write in a different way, not following the same pattern, you can do that. It doesn't matter. What matters is, what is your argument? What exactly you have mentioned there, that matters. If that is correct, not a problem then. Now, how you are going to use emotional intelligence in administration. So this is very important for any civil servant. First of all, your self-awareness part. If you are a person who is aware of yourself, then some good decisions you are going to take for sure in the administration. First of all, if you know what is your strength, if you know about it, and if you know what is your interest also, then you will try to get into the department where your strength lies or where you have got your interest. Let's say you are a doctor, then you got into IAS. Now it's very good if you get into health department, because you have got this knowledge, you are very strong in this segment. So it's very good. Or let's say you have interest, you have a lot of interest to work in the education sector. So you can try to get into this segment. So there you will perform really good. So your self-awareness will help you, right? Second, if you can know about your strength, you can know about your weakness also. If you know about your weakness, that in a particular profile, I will not be working really well, then don't get into that profile. So many people, while mentioning this preference in the interview, when they mention about their preference for the service, they don't mention IPS. They don't mention IPS because they know that that is their weak area. They won't be performing a good job. So don't take it. Simple. If you are a person who is self-aware, you can plan really well, and once planning is done, then execution will become very easy. Obviously, that will be well also. Then self-regulation part. If you can self-regulate, you can regulate yourself, your emotions. So even if so many people are continuously coming and all, so many people are saying anything, there are protests going on, you will not lose your calm mind. You will be calm and composed. You will not become angry, or you will not get into any ego clash or any conflict with anyone. You will keep yourself calm. So stress management and anger management, this you're going to do really well. You see, even this stress management is something that is being checked in the exam, UPSC exam. The exam in itself has been made in such a fashion that it will put so much stress on you, and you have to deal with it. Okay. So in administration, this is going to be very helpful. Third, self-motivation part. Now, as I said, it's very difficult to keep yourself motivated, and many people lose that motivation. And if you want to perform something, if you want to do something really good, that too for a very long time, that means you want to persist, that perseverance you want to do the work continuously, then what you need is self-motivation. Okay, you need self-motivation. Then empathy, how empathy will be used in the administration, this you can think anyway, that you can understand the problems of others. So their empathy will be important. You can understand the mood of entire public. If, let's say, the crowd is very angry, just think about it. You are addressing a crowd, they are protesting, let's say protesting for reservation, or think about the situation in Manipur right now. Since last 1 year, what was the condition in Manipur? People are protesting, people are going for riot, they are killing anyone, they are very angry, intensely angry. Now in this situation, think about this dimension. If you don't empathize, if you don't even understand the emotions of others, if you just think that, hey, whatever happening is, they are just angry, I'll shoot them. No, you can't do this. You have to understand whether they are just angry, or they are angry to the extent that if you take just one action against them, they are going to burn entire city. They are going to even burn you. So the point is understanding the mood of public. For that you need empathy, right? Now, not just public, you are even dealing with your staff. There will be, subordinate officers, the staff members. You have to deal with them. They are your team members. Some people are very bad when it comes to behaving or dealing with their team members. They behave in a very rash and rude manner. What will happen if you behave in a rash and rude manner? You don't understand the emotions of others. Then after some time, they will lose faith in you. They will not behave good with you. They will also have very transactional relation with you. But you see, there are some officers, they build such a good rapport with the entire staff that when he needs their support, everyone will come together to help him, to support him. So for that, what you need is, you have to understand what they are going through. Empathy is needed. And again, when your boss is telling something to you, at that time also you need to empathize with him. That why your boss is angry, why he is giving some order, what is the intensity of that emotion. So you will understand whether you have to complete that work today or tomorrow. If he is not so angry, you will do it tomorrow. But if he is so angry and you can sense that, you will complete in next 1 hour. Right? So that's where we understand empathy becomes important. And last part, that is the fifth component, that is social skills. That's very, very important. Social skills, as we said, that negotiation part, communication skill part, public speaking part, right? Empathy, you just understood through empathy. But here now you are acting. You're acting where the social skill is getting into picture. So when you have to build an entire team, you want the entire team to work on a particular goal. Why would they listen to you? You should have the ability to convey the vision in such a way that entire team will accept it and even they will follow the same vision. That's not easy task, and that's not something everyone can do, right? So team building, public management, dealing with your seniors. Some people are very good at dealing with seniors. They know how to deal with them, what to say so that the senior will not become angry. So very soft spoken people, right? Harness public potential for good things. Now this is something very good, and we have very good example from Manipur cadre. So there's an IAS officer from Manipur cadre. His name is Armstrong Payne. So he wanted to build a road in the area, but he was not getting enough funds from the government. So what he did, he communicated with the public in that area in such a manner that public started funding. Public provided some amount of money from themselves, and then he made a fund, and through that fund he got to construct that entire road. So here, how you can handle public, how you can communicate public so that you can do something really good. If you walk alone, you might not be able to do something really big. For yourself, maybe you'll do something good. But if you want to make a really big change as such in the lives of others, or if you want to make a really good contribution in the world, for that, one singular action, your action, if you can take action for yourself, that would not make much difference as such. But if you can make everyone do something, then that's very interesting. That's a very good thing. Social skill part. So that will be very useful in public administration. Clear? All these parts, how we are using emotional intelligence, and this will be asked in the paper. I'll show you in one of the PYQ how they have asked the same topic. Okay. Now, just for the sake of enrichment, you should know this marshmallow experiment on emotional intelligence. So this person, what is his name? Walter Mischel. Now this person had actually given one experiment. He did one experiment wherein he was trying to check the emotional intelligence in children. So sometimes children, they show emotional intelligence in the very early age. Where there are few children who are very emotionally intelligent. They show just one trait, and he says these children have a very high potential of succeeding in life. How to know if 10 children are in front of you, how to know who will be the most successful out of them? So we said 80% role will be of emotional intelligence. So we'll just find out one child who is having more emotional intelligence. So we'll predict his future that most probably he'll be one of the most successful persons. What he did, he gave this marshmallow. He gave a choice to the children that you can eat one marshmallow immediately. If you want to eat immediately right now, I'll give you one marshmallow. Or else you have a different choice. You wait for next 15 minutes and I'll give you 2 marshmallow. Okay? Either immediately, then only 1, or after 15 minutes, 2. And he observed most of the children, they opted for this immediate solution, that they want the marshmallow or this chocolate or whatever you call it immediately. But there were few or one of them who said, I'll wait, I want to. Now this is something we call as delayed gratification. See, everyone wants pleasure. Everyone wants pleasure, and obviously immediately. But some people, they can control their id or this instinct, or they can control these emotions and delay this gratification process. They want to, gratification means you're completing that desire or you're getting that pleasure part. You are ready to delay, you're controlling yourself. This child has shown this delayed gratification, means he controlled his emotions. This is a sign of emotional intelligence. Okay? This can be utilized. If you can utilize in answers, that would be very good. Okay. Now, one last part of emotional intelligence is how you can learn this emotional intelligence on your own. See, there are some organizations who are trying to teach emotional intelligence in an organized manner. So there is this agency called CRYO. Consortium for Research on Emotional Intelligence in Organizations. Now this is an organization who is preparing some kind of curriculum through which they are trying to teach emotional intelligence in these developed countries, their schools, universities, their military, etc., etc. Okay, so they do many things. They will show some movie, they'll give some book. When children are in their young age, they will show them some cartoon. So in that cartoon, they'll show that, see, this cartoon is angry. So the child will recognize that emotion. So likewise, they have so many things involved in it. Okay, this is being done in a very organized manner. You can read about it. For answers, you can just quote this cryo organization and this curriculum called Social and Emotional Learning, SEL. The curriculum that they have made is called as SEL. For value addition, we can write in the answers this part. Now, important thing for us is how we can self-learn, how we can learn this emotional intelligence on its own. Now, before that, understand how we learn. Our learning will involve two dimensions. One is the cognitive learning, other one is the emotive or behavioral learning. When we are studying something, let's say we talked about persuasion, right? If a person is just taking a book and reading about persuasion, or listening to a lecture in the classroom and just studied about persuasion, that was cognitive learning. And this cognitive learning is of a superficial level. Although you have got into the details of persuasion, are you able to do persuasion? Are you interested in doing persuasion? So, cognitive learning, here we are studying the concepts, here we are studying the facts about that thing. But when we are emotionally into it or behaviorally into it, then whatever we learn, that will be very deep in us. So if you are emotionally involved, or let's say you're behaviorally doing, you're trying to persuade some people, then you learn in a very deep manner. Okay, so two kinds of learnings will be there, so you should focus on both. Okay, now this SEL will skip, you can read that part. How you can self-learn EI is something that we need to focus on. So first of all, again, self-awareness part. See, again, we are trying to structure the content in the same format in which this Daniel Goleman has given model, so that it becomes easier for us to understand and remember and even write in answers, because while writing answers, people become blank. Don't become blank. At least you have one Daniel Goleman's model which you can refer and think upon it. If you just think about self-awareness, how I can learn the self-awareness. See, you want to become aware of yourself, your emotions. Think about it. Basically, just think about it. You can do meditation. At least you can come up with one idea, right? So, in the exam hall, try to brainstorm. You will get some answers, at least some examples, something you will get for sure. How to self-learn emotional intelligence, in which we are trying to know the first dimension, that is the self-awareness. How I can learn self-awareness on my own. How I can do that. First thing is, start self-introspection. This is one of the most important steps that you can take in your life. Start self-introspecting. Spend some time with yourself. You know, we spend time with others. We don't spend time with ourselves. That's a problem. That's a problem. You observe many people around the world. The problem is, at the moment you keep them single, you keep them isolated from others, they don't know what to do. They become depressed. They can't, spend time with themselves. That's a problem of our society, right? So here we are saying, spend some time with yourself. Try to understand your own emotions. Try to understand what you're going through, what you're thinking. Okay, here you can do meditation also. That is also one way. Meditation. What people do in meditation, if you have understood, they talk about something called mindfulness. Or they talk about only one thing, be in the present moment. Don't think at all. Don't think at all. Just calm down. Just observe what you're going through, whatever thoughts are coming, just observe. So through this, some kind of clarity you're going to get, right? Or if you just give yourself some time every day, you spend some time with yourself. Let's say you walk alone for, let's say, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something. So that will be helpful for you for sure. Okay. So this is one part, practicing self-introspection. Then we have something called diary writing. Writing diary. Some people write journalism and all. Diary writing is a very good thing. What you do is, whatever you're feeling, you start writing. Now here, when I say diary writing, I'm not talking about vomiting all the emotions that you have. No. I'm again talking about self-introspection. Don't just vomit whatever you're feeling. Check exactly what you're feeling, why you're feeling, everything. Write it down. When you write down, there will be more clarity. Otherwise, when you don't write, you don't get complete clarity on stuffs. So for the self-introspection, this is a very good thing. And if you, while writing down, if you don't have any consistency in thought, you'll get to know. Then accept if you're doing something wrong, accept it. Okay. Then third thing you can do is impersonalization. Now there is something called art of impersonalization. This is even mentioned in the Vedanta philosophy. Even in Bhagavad Gita, to some extent, they talk about something called Sakshi Bhav. Okay, in Vedanta and even in the Bhagavad Gita, they talk about Sakshi Bhav. What does it mean by Sakshi Bhav? So, when you're thinking about yourself or your emotions, don't look at it as if it's your emotion. Look at it as if it is some other person's emotions. So, look at yourself very objectively, becoming a third person. Whatever you're going through, look at it as a third person. That you're not this. Make yourself detached from this and now look at it. Now you will be more objective. Now you will be more objective. That is called Sakshi Bhav, or in English we call simply the art of impersonalization. Now we have a habit. We have a habit that if something is happening with others, what we do is we behave differently, we think differently. And if something is happening with us, we think differently or we have some emotional impulses. That's why we are saying try to be more objective about your emotions. So look at it as a third person. Look at it as a third person. Then help from some mature people. You don't understand your emotions, then go and take help from others. At least some people around you, some close people who understand you, or you can go to a psychological counselor or anyone who is a mature person who can show you your real image. So mature people are said to be mirrors. They act like mirrors. They will show you your real face. So that will be one way through which you can become self-aware. Okay, good. Self-awareness is clear. How we can learn self-awareness. Now comes the part how you can learn self-regulation. Okay, now we have to regulate our emotions. How I'm going to learn it. One very good technique is try to postpone things. Let's say someone came to you, proposed you, and she's saying, just tell me right away, I don't know. In next 1 minute, tell me yes or no. So the best way is don't give answer at this particular moment. Tell the person, I'll tell you after 24 hours. It's not just about propose, but it's about like any decision you are taking. There's a point wherein if emotions are involved, if someone is putting pressure on you because of which there are some impulses, emotional reaction, and in that emotional reaction, there's a possibility that you take a wrong decision, right? That's why it is said when you're taking decisions, take time. Take time. Okay, so one of the way to learn this self-regulation, because you have to control your anger or your impulse or your stress, whatever it is at this moment. So just postpone that scenario. After some time, you will become normal. You can look at this thing normally. Otherwise, you will regret later on. Okay, this is one thing. Then something called art of deviation. You can deviate. If you're very angry, so there is one movie called Munna Bhai MBBS. So there's a doctor, that Dean, What he does is, whenever he's angry, he'll do the exactly contradictory thing. He'll deviate from that emotion. What he'll do? He'll laugh. Whenever he gets angry, he will laugh. So with the contradictory emotion, he's trying to stop that emotion or regulate that emotion so that his BP doesn't increase, He's trying to control his anger through this method. Or many people, what they will do is, if they know that they're getting angry with whatever conversation going on, they'll just change the topic. Otherwise, they know that they'll lose their temper. Okay, this is one way, art of deviation. Then third is again the diary writing. Diary writing, it has helped you in self-awareness. Diary writing will also help you in self-regulation. Whatever you're going through, write it down. You'll get clarity. Then you can control your emotions there. So this will be a good thing. Then there is something called auto-suggestive mode. So I give you that example of Welcome movie. He says, control, Uday, control. You keep on suggesting yourself again and again so that you control your reaction or control your emotion. What Uday was doing, he was telling to himself, control, Uday, control your anger. And by telling yourself, you give instruction to your subconscious mind. And then slowly you become calm. So this is also one good method called auto-suggestive mode. See, it's not necessary you have to write these technical terms as such. You can write, but you can even write it in simple terms also. While writing answers, I don't expect you to write these terms only. Rather, write in simple language. Okay? Now, third thing. The self-motivation part. How you're going to learn self-motivation, right? So self-motivation is something, if we want to learn, first of all, we need to have some people around us who are very positive. So people who talk positive about you, they will say something which will generate that motivation in you. And it's not like every time you need them, but that self-motivation will sustain for a long duration because of that. So whether your family members or your friends who talk something good about you, and mostly this will happen with unconditional relationships. There are some relationships which are unconditional. There is no condition as such. And these people will stay with you, will say something good about you. They'll tell you what you're good at. Even if you're feeling low, they'll tell you good things. Even if you're not feeling good, even at that time also they'll say something good. And those words will stay with you. Okay, those words are going to stay with you. This is one way. Or you can read some literature, you can watch some movies. Those movies, those speeches, those literatures, they can motivate you a lot. Or some people listen to music. There are some energetic musics which can make you feel very energized for that particular moment. That's one way. Now these are momentary. There are some activities which play a very good role in bringing this self-motivation. One of them is physical activities. So physical activities, if you keep on doing every single day, they'll change the way you look at things, and there will be some impact on your physique as well as your mind, as well as on your emotions. So very good. Then one way is have some small targets. If you have a very small target for today, just something which you can complete in 10 minutes, complete it. You'll feel good. You'll feel motivated. Even for students preparing for mains or prelims, we tell them many a times that write down what you want to do today, and that too very small targets. As soon as you do it, just click mark. You will feel good. You will feel like I have achieved something. This will keep you self-motivated. Or try to get into some smaller competitions and try to win. How you can do that? Just ask your friend some GK question. Something that you have studied, he didn't study. Ask him that question. He will not know the answer. And you tell, I will tell you the answer. Right? You will feel really great. So that is one way. That is one way you can feel self-motivated. And then remembering your good past. Something that happened in the past, that was something really good. Maybe you achieved something, you excelled, or you cracked an exam in 10th or 12th, or you became the top, or whatever. Just think about it. When you think about it, you will feel motivated that you are so great. So these are very good methods to bring this self-motivation. right? Now, what about empathy? Now, empathy is something we have studied already, how you can develop empathy. So, I don't think I need to repeat that stuff. You have learned that. You can tell this answer anyway. So, still I have added some extra examples for your understanding, and even you can quote this in the answers. You can develop empathy through different means. You can watch a movie, you can develop empathy. You can watch a play, a theatrical play. You can read a novel, and through that also you develop this empathy. So there are many Hollywood actors, they claim that I read novels every single day and I have learned this empathy. I have got to know about different characters through these fictional literatures. So some examples, like there is this Khamosh Adalat Jari Hai, that's a very good play, or which gives, this play gives you the role or what a woman exactly feels, her life story, that you will understand. Then you have this Nat Samrat play. It talks, or if you watch this play, or if you read through that book, you will understand the life of an artist, what he goes through. Then you have this book called Man's Search for Meaning, very good book written by Viktor Frankl. So you will find out what is the purpose of life, which he found out. You will understand that you can even survive even in the worst case if you have got a purpose. You will understand the life from his perspective. So all this is possible through literature, through films. All these mechanisms are there. Watch some good movies. Now you can interact with some people. From there also you will get empathy. I talked about this last time. I gave you that example of a movie called what was that movie, Swadesh, right? Or similarly, if you interact with people who are less luckier than you, just imagine whatever life conditions in which you are living, if there are some people whose life conditions are way worse than you are living with, if you interact with them, then also, because you will understand what they are suffering through, what they are going through, and there you will develop empathy. Okay, so empathy is clear. And the last part is social skills, how you can learn social skills. So for example, it includes those leadership skill, where you have to make decisions, perfect decision making skill, communication skill. One of the best way is said to be going into the sports. Sports teaches you many things. You know, there will be a team, how you do the teamwork, how you lead, how you communicate, many things you're going to learn from here. Okay, so many students who get into the sports, they learn the leadership which is required in the administration also through that sports. Okay, the problem with many people, especially those preparing for UPSC, they remain isolated throughout their preparation. They're hardly getting into any activity. So that's the problematic stuff. Or else, if you want to learn conflict resolution, you have to learn how to use language. You have to observe people. Observe how Donald Trump is negotiating a particular deal with others. When you observe, you learn something. Observe your mother, how she's negotiating with that grocery guy, how she's negotiating while buying that vegetables. Observe, at least observe, listen. After that, even you will learn that. So those methods are involved. Listening is a good thing. Once you become a good listener, then you can become a good speaker, right? That's how you can go for this conflict resolution and all. You can learn these things. Done? So that's all about your emotional intelligence chapter. Overall, whatever we had to study till now, we have completed. So I'll give you 2 minutes. Just look at the previous year questions they have asked till now on this topic, and you will observe that most of the content which is needed for writing the answer, not even most, rather almost complete content we have, except for this question, because for this question they are talking about crisis of conscience. I'll discuss about that concept later on in the next lectures, where we'll talk about the conscience. There you will understand that part. But if you look at other questions, you can easily manage to write them. Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. Please spend some time to read this, to brainstorm. Okay, so we're done with this. Now we'll discuss few previous year questions out of this. If you have already brainstormed, now just look at this. First question: What is emotional intelligence and how can it be developed in people? How does it help an individual in making ethical decisions? They have asked about emotional intelligence directly, right? One part of the answer should involve this. How it can be developed, this we have discussed just now. We have discussed this part. And how does it help an individual in making ethical decisions? So you see, only this part requires you to think a little bit. Rest, all the part we have directly with us. The direct content is available. This is where we'll think a little bit and try to write the answer. Okay. Now see here. First of all, because they have asked what is emotional intelligence, so you have to write the basic definition. So you can write according to Daniel Goleman, or you can mention about his book. In his book, he has mentioned this definition. So somehow try to define emotional intelligence in simple way. We can simply say it is the ability to understand and regulate one's own emotions as well as that of others. That's a very simple definition, right? And don't just write the definition. Try to give one example if possible and try to make such a diagram. See, even if they have not asked you to write the components of emotional intelligence, if they would have asked, we would have written each and every component in detail. We would have explained self-awareness, self-regulation and given one example for each. But here they haven't asked and we have to write so much. So we'll just make one diagram on the right side to show the components of emotional intelligence. On right side or wherever you want to make, that's up to your presentation skill. Okay, you can show that. Now after that, the question has asked how you can develop emotional intelligence. So developing emotional intelligence, one way is the way I have taught you. You write in the same manner. So one way through the organizational setup, that SEO, what was that? SEL. Let's get back. Yeah, this one. This organization which has brought this program called SEL. This is one way you can learn emotional intelligence through a structured manner. Or you can self-learn emotional intelligence through these methods which we have discussed. This is your answer. Directly you can write this. No problem at all. Right? How you develop, that means how you learn. Simple. So this is a good content directly to write. What I have done is I have tried to write it down in a different manner over here. This will also work. That's up to you altogether. What I've done individually, how I can do, what all I can do to develop EI. Socially, what entire society can do. So you can think about every member of society. Let's say parents are one segment of society. What parents can do, what media can do, what influential people can do. Likewise. And then I have talked about institutional efforts. Institutionally, what all can be done. So that's SEL, that curriculum, bringing some kind of curriculum. That is one example. Or you can bring the example like this UPSC's ethics paper. Write about it. Write about the ethics paper in the ethics paper itself. UPSC brought ethics paper for the same thing, so that somewhere there, when you're talking about emotional intelligence, somewhere you're trying to learn it, right? So likewise also you can write your answer. This is the main body part. The third part involved ethical decisions using emotional intelligence. Here we are trying to think upon the dimensions. So for example, what you can do is you can avoid mistakes. Now think about the same thing, self-awareness, self-regulation, how you can use it for doing something ethical. So you're taking one decision because you're angry, you're not able to take it, and you will make a mistake in that decision making. So avoid mistake by controlling anger or emotional turmoil. This is how I've written. Okay, or check disruptive emotions. What we see when police is dealing with a mob which is very angry. When police is dealing with them, they have to even control their own emotions. Even the example of 26/11, when that incident took place, when police caught Kasab, you look at the psyche of entire police community at that moment. They wanted to kill this person. Even when they're trying to get information from him, they had innate desire to kill this person on the spot. So it was the responsibility of the head in charge of the police to ensure that this person should not die from the police, right? Because we have to take him to the court later on. So somewhere those disruptive emotions, you have to check that. So you can understand how you make the ethical decisions. Then bring any other dimension, like you think about empathy. Empathy is one component. When you are empathetic, you make good decisions. So yes, you can say, you can talk about even customer service and all, you can talk about Ratan Tata. Give any example and prepare. So you are using the same content, just molding it and putting it in the answer. Okay. In the conclusion, I've tried to write the same stuff which Aristotle said. Anyone can be angry, but being at the right, with the right person at the right stage, you know, with the right degree at the right time, etc., etc. Very good conclusion. Okay, that is emotional intelligence. A good way to write this answer. Is this part clear, or do you have any doubt till now? Please ask if you have any doubt on this. No? Now think about other questions. Second question, how will you apply emotional intelligence in administrative practices? Can you think about it now? How are you going to apply emotional intelligence in administrative practices? Now, do you think we have covered this part? Now, first think about the introduction, what you can write. Again, you can write the same introduction. What is emotional intelligence? The definition part. You can again make that diagram. You can give one example. Right. Then how it can be used in the administrative practices. That was the same point which we have discussed here. How to use emotional intelligence in administration. Right. So utilize the same content over there and bring some, you can brainstorm a little bit to come up with some more or different examples, or you can utilize the same also. So you have the direct content to write this. Then emotional intelligence is the ability. See, again in conclusion, you will show that if you have EI, again you can make that micro diagram. People who don't have EI, how they perform. People who have EI, how they perform. In administrative practices, how result might become different because of EI. Such a diagram can also be made on this part. In the conclusion also, before writing conclusion, or even after writing conclusion, you can make one diagram on this part. Okay, done. 2019 question, emotional intelligence is the ability to make your emotions work for you instead of against you. Now see, a smart person, what he will do is, from this PYQ, he will take this line directly. Okay, next time if any question is there on EI, he'll write the same line as introduction in the answers. This is smartness. Okay, UPSC has said the same. It's a definition, obviously. So do you agree with this view or not? That EI will make your emotions work for you instead of against you. Again, the same thing. Even if you're not getting content, how you think on this particular question. You know EI now. They're saying if you're not having EI, how you deconstruct the question. If you do not have EI and if you have EI. If you do not have EI, the emotions will go against you. So if you remember, in the first initial slides, I discussed something. This is the part. So here I talked about all these negative roles played by our emotions. You can mention the same content as it is. A person lacking emotional intelligence, in him you will see how negative emotions or emotions will dominate, and he will do something which is harmful to himself. This ego part, this anger, jealousy. There's a saying about anger that if you have anger and jealousy about someone, that is going to lead to the destruction of yourself, not the other person. Other person will do whatever he wants to, but your life will be disturbed because of that. So you can mention such things and try to add examples and think about examples in a pattern. Think about yourself first, whatever random examples you get about yourself. Then think about a civil servant, whatever random examples you can get from there. And then think about institutions, think about society. From there, if you can get. And this is we are trying to get because we don't have content. This is what I am assuming. Otherwise, whatever you have studied here, whatever content, whatever examples, you can utilize that directly. Okay, so you're showing this part. And then you talk about this part. You have to mention this line. Emotions are raw data. They can be utilized for something good, something bad also. If they dominate, then that will go against you. And if you can understand and regulate those emotions, that will be the best thing. That is the skill that we get through emotional intelligence. So, if I go back to the question, EI is the ability to make your emotions work for you. Now show this dimension. A person with EI, how he will make emotions to work for himself. Just give few examples. In your personal life, how it will work? You will maintain good relations with others. People will say good to you. A politician will do something good. He will become a good politician, or whatever example you can bring in. Right? So you have content for this. Do you agree? Yes, definitely. I agree. No problem with that. Then, what are the main components of emotional intelligence? Nobody can ask you a question like this. Such an easy question. You can't expect UPSC to ask any easier question than this. Directly, components of emotional intelligence. Use the Daniel Goleman model. Just mention. Now here, you will go in detail. Okay. Here you will talk about each and every component in detail. You will give example for each. If possible, if you can bring in how that can be brought in. In short, if you can make just one box for each wherein just you mention through this, you can bring this part. That will also be good. Can they be learned? Okay, in the question itself they have asked, can they be learned? Yes, they can be learned. But that doesn't mean you just write they can be learned. You have to show yes, they can be learned. Arguments are needed. So for each component, write down how it can be learned. So do you have the answer? Yes, we have the content now. This is the same content. Do you see the repetition? So when I started the class, I told you EI is emotional intelligence, is that chapter where questions are more or less asked on the same line or same pattern. They're asking the same content again and again. So the same part, obviously you'll write in short, not such a long content as such, but same content you're going to use in this particular question. Okay. Now, can they be learned? Discuss. Simple. They have not asked about anything. Yes, they can be earned. You have shown that. Just conclude it. That's all. Okay. Any doubt? Because we are ending it. This part, as I said, in case of crisis of conscience, does emotional intelligence help to overcome the same without compromising the ethical or moral stand that you're likely to follow? Critically examine. Even if you don't know crisis of conscience, you can still think about it in some way, but I will discuss what is conscience, and what is this crisis of conscience. Okay, this part I will discuss in detail in later chapters. So there you will get to know that idea. So somewhere they are trying to connect two concepts, so that you will be able to do easily, not a problem. Okay, that time maybe we can discuss this particular question. So now if you have any question, you can ask, or else we will just head towards the next chapter or the next theme, that is about moral thinkers and philosophers. Yeah, so no doubts. Fine. So we will just head towards the next section, that is what we call as philosophers or the moral thinkers part. Now this is a new segment altogether. Now we are getting out of psychology part and we are getting into philosophy section. Okay, that doesn't mean you are going to become philosopher as such, but try to understand each philosopher, whoever we are trying to discuss here. See, we can't discuss each and every philosopher because there are so many philosophers. There's no list which UPSC has given us that we will ask only this philosopher or that philosopher. What we will try to do is just to develop our fundamental or foundational understanding about philosophy, and as part of ethics, because ethics being subject derived from philosophy, to understand ethics what basic philosophy part is needed, that purpose part, purpose of life and the means to achieve it as we called it. To understand that part, whatever philosophy is needed, that thing. Secondly, what all can be used as a content for enrichment in the answers. For that, if we need a particular philosopher to study, we will focus on them specifically. So some from Western thinkers and some from the Indian thinkers we will bring in. Initially, we'll start with the Western thinkers. In Western thinkers, build your philosophy better. You understand philosophy section better. Once you get to know this Western philosophy, then we'll head towards the Indian part also. Okay. So let's start without wasting much time. Our first philosopher over here is Socrates. Socrates is considered to be one of the wisest person on this planet, or people call it that he is the wisest man the world has ever seen. He is Socrates. So he is actually from Greece, and we see such philosophers coming into picture in the ancient time. Okay. Now this is the era, this is the time period when we say that for the first time philosophy as a discipline came into picture, or people started studying philosophy, people became philosophers, and this is a time where people have been thinking rationally in a structured manner, and the study is going on. Now here we see in this time period in ancient Greece, we see two kinds of teachers. I'm talking about teachers. Socrates is one kind of teacher, one school of thought. There are different kinds of teachers wherein there is other side whom we call as sophist. Okay. There are some teachers whom we call as sophists. Who are sophists? They are teachers who are well paid. They work for money. So a teacher who just works for money, what this teacher is going to do is going to meet customers and not students. His students will be nothing but customers. So this teacher is going to teach what the student wants to learn and not what the real knowledge is. See, there are two things. A teacher can give the real knowledge. He can share real knowledge. But there is a possibility that the students are not interested in knowing this real knowledge. They are not interested in real knowledge. They are interested in something else. They want something else. But when you have a relationship of seller and customer kind of relation, then you will behave in the same manner. Just like a restaurant will serve you what you want because you are the customer. Similarly, here sophists were teaching students what the students wanted. Now here, who are the students? The students are the elite section of Greece. In Greece, whoever is coming from the elite background, all these people wanted to learn something. What they wanted to learn, they wanted to know how I can get more money and how I can get more power. They want money and they want power. Obviously, even nowadays we say, we look at people, that people want only these two things, nothing else. Right? And sophists are teaching people how to get more money and more power. Now, to get money or get power, you might need to learn how to speak, that is rhetorics. You need to persuade people, you need to manipulate people. All these skills are required. So sophists were teaching all that which is needed to get this thing. That was the job of sophists. Now here we see Socrates coming into picture, and Socrates doesn't like this method of teaching. Method or the teaching itself. So Socrates is completely against these sophists. Socrates is also a teacher. Now see the difference between the teachings of Socrates and teaching of sophists. Sophists are teaching, do this, do that, learn how to persuade and all. They're teaching all these stuffs, right? They're teaching so that the other person can get something that we call as limited good. something that we call as limited good. Money and power, these are limited good. Limited, why we are calling it limited? You see, money is limited in this world. Power is limited in this world. If there are two people and one person gets the power, then the power of the other person will be reduced. So in the entire society, if there is one king who has got all the power, that means all others will not have power. So these are limited goods. It will not happen that you give it to everyone. It's not possible. It's not possible. If one takes it, then other one is going to lose it. That's why these are limited goods. And so Socrates feels that when you go for limited goods, it is not a sustainable idea. He wants that money and power, they're actually going to corrupt you. You will try to grab it more, but it's not sustainable. Why? Because if only you're going to grab it, others are going to lose it. Then there will be some other person, he will also try to grab it. Then there will be conflict, right? Just like you want money and power, other one also wants money and power, the other person also wants money and power. So all are going to fight, and all are going to die. He's saying it's not a sustainable idea, first of all. Secondly, it corrupts your mind. It's not an idea which is going to give you fulfillment in life. You're going to become happy in life. Money and power is not going to make you really happy in life. Socrates is considered as a person who is really wise. He understands things. He understands how to connect dots. He connects all the dots and he says that if you go towards just money and power, you will become corrupt and you will remain a very ignorant person. You will remain a very ignorant person. And if you're ignorant, then you will not self-introspect what you're doing. Think about this dimension. There are many people who have earned substantial amount of money in their life. They have got Ferrari, BMW or something. Still, you must have seen they're not happy with life. They're not happy, they're crying, they're going to psychologists, they're going to meditation centers, they're doing so many things, but they're still not happy. Are you getting this point? This is what Socrates is focusing on. That whatever you have achieved till now, that is because of your ignorance. You didn't focus on the real thing. You focused on non-real things, not so important things. You focused on limited goods. Rather, you should focus on the unlimited good. You should focus on unlimited good. So when he talks about unlimited good, he's talking about a life which is full of happiness. He's saying you cannot get happiness through these material stuffs. Money, power, these material things can't give you happiness. For happiness, you need to have some harmony within you. Within you, there should be harmony. If your life is going with your values, whatever your values are, real values, if you understand your real true nature as a person, and if you act on the same lines, then what happens is, then you will have very good clarity and then you will be very happy with your life. The problem is when you go for this power and money, in reality, that is not your value. You think that it's your value, but if we look at your true nature, real nature, that is not your real value. Because of which, you are not getting happiness. Even after earning lakhs and crores of rupees, you are not so happy. Okay. So that's where Sophist and Socrates, they differ. Now Socrates goes to an extra step. Whatever Sophists are talking, Sophists are not talking about this deeper purpose of life and all. They're just talking about what is there in life, what is present in life. Yeah, this is the structure, you need power and money to, get all your desires completed. They are focusing on how desires can be completed. Sophists. This person, Socrates, is saying, you're focusing on the wrong thing. Even if you complete those desires, you will not be happy. You will not excel. You will not be the best version of yourself. That's why he's saying what you need is to know the purpose of life. And this happens. I don't know if you're capable of understanding this concept right now or not. But if there is no purpose in life, you will feel empty. Even if you get selected in the exam, you become IAS officer, let's say you're the top 1 ranker. But still, if you do not have a purpose of life, or if you don't know that purpose of life, you will consistently be confused, you'll consistently be stressed. Even after getting all those desires completed, you're completely getting all those pleasures, you will not be satisfied with your life. What you need at the end is the satisfaction or this true happiness, right? Or satisfaction or the fulfillment. This is something you need. Now people started asking Socrates how we can get this. If we want this unlimited goods, how we can reach to this, how we can get it. For that, he suggests the method of knowledge. He says, if you get knowledge, that's enough. Just you get the knowledge and you will automatically reach to the stage where you want to reach. What does it exactly mean? There's a statement by him that knowledge is virtue. Knowledge is virtue. What does he mean by that? Think about it. You're giving this exam, but you do not know how to clear this exam. You do not know what is the right method which you need to apply to get cleared in the first attempt itself. Or not, it's not about first attempt. Those people who do not even clear in the 3rd or 4th attempt, they are on the wrong track. That's the problem. The moment they get on the right track, they clear the exam. Now, whether it's 1st or 5th attempt, doesn't matter. Point is, because you are an ignorant person, you do not know the right method to crack this exam. That you need to write answers, you need to get it evaluated, you need to work on presentation, you need to go for some value addition. All these things you didn't know. You don't know, you're ignorant. So look at the story of most of the students. What they do, they prepare for the entire year, they keep on studying, and don't even clear the prelims or don't even clear the mains. Why? Because they are ignorant. They don't have the real knowledge. Now Socrates says, you are ignorant, that's why you don't have the real knowledge, and that's why you are on the wrong track. Now what to do for right track? Get the knowledge. How you will get the knowledge? Self-introspection. Self-introspection. There's a line by Socrates, an unexamined life is not worth living. Why he's saying this thing? Because if you remain ignorant, if you do not check your thoughts, if you do not self-introspect, what am I thinking is right or wrong, if you don't introspect, you will remain on the same track, and that is not a good life. That is not at all a good life. If you ask him what is a good life, he will say a life in which you are actually happy, where you get happiness. That is a good life. But if you're just going for those limited goods and all, you're not even self-introspecting whether you're doing the right thing or wrong thing, whether it is aligning with your nature or not, whether you're really getting happiness or not, whether you're getting the real results or not. If you're not checking and evaluating it at all, then what will happen? You will be on the same track and you will never get happiness as such. That's why Socrates is suggesting that an unexamined life is not worth living. It's a useless, pathetic life to live. If you want good life, you should self-introspect. Self-introspect everything. This also applies for your examination. That's the one thing I keep on telling students, that if you did not get selected this year, self-introspect what has gone wrong, what was supposed to be done. If you self-introspect, if you examine it, what will happen? You will start questioning. You will start questioning your thoughts, existing thoughts, your beliefs, etc., your existing knowledge. You will question that existing knowledge. You'll feel that maybe I am wrong. Whatever I think is a wrong way of thinking. Now, when you think this, now you'll start searching the right thing. And when you start searching, then you lead to the real knowledge. Getting this point? Now, you reach to the real knowledge. That's where he wants you to reach. Now, you will see, sir, even if I know the real knowledge, what's the guarantee I'm going to become what I want to? Here, Socrates says, knowledge is virtue. What he means by this? If you are a person who has got the real knowledge, then there is not a single chance you will go on the wrong path. If you have the knowledge, real knowledge, true knowledge, you might think that I might go to the right path or wrong path. Socrates clearly says, if you have the right knowledge, you will not go to the wrong path. That's not even possible. Just think about it. If you're going to, let's say, Ladakh, and you are here, there are two routes. If you know this is the right route, you will go through this route only. You won't go the other way. If you know how to clear the exam, if you know the right path of clearing that, you won't go to the wrong path. You will go to the right path. He says you will go to the wrong path only when you are ignorant or you don't have the real knowledge. You have fake kind of knowledge which these sophists are giving to you. Are you getting my point? So if you can grab that core idea of Socrates, what he is trying to say is, first examine your life, examine yourself, self-introspect. When you self-introspect, you will understand what are your values, what is your nature, who are you, what you really want in life. There are many people, they keep on working, keep on getting a lot of money and all, after which suddenly they get to know they got cancer. Now they feel, why did I waste my entire life in this? I should have done what I really wanted to. I should have spent my time with my family. You will regret later on. The point is, first examine your life. Once you examine, you get the knowledge. Once you get the knowledge, you will definitely go on the right way. Okay. And when you are on the right way, now you are going to get happiness for sure, because this was the route for happiness. This was the route for happiness. Okay. So that's the reason he's saying knowledge is virtue. Virtue, if you remember, we said that if you are a virtuous person, if you have got virtues, you will reach where you want to, whatever your values were. If your value is to get something, this thing, you need virtue in yourself, right? If you have got this virtue in you, you will reach to this thing. We have discussed this part already, right? If you don't remember, please revise that stuff about virtue. That if you have virtue in you, you will reach to the place where you want to. Whatever is your value, you will get that. This we said. Socrates is saying knowledge itself. Knowledge in itself is a virtue. Why he is saying that? Because if you get knowledge, what is virtue? If you have virtue, you will get what you want. You will get what your value is. He is saying knowledge is virtue. If you have knowledge of what is good life, if you have the knowledge of what is good life, you will automatically go in that direction. You will take actions which are required for good life. It is not possible that you will take wrong action. That's why knowledge in itself is a virtue. And if you have a virtue, things are done. You will be on the right path. Okay, so I hope you understand his statement. An unexamined life is not worth living. This was directly asked in the ethics paper. The statement was directly given and they asked directly, what do you understand by this? What do you interpret by this? Now, I hope at least you are getting the basic idea what Socrates wanted to say by this statement, or what he wanted to say through this line called knowledge is virtue. Clear? This is his basic thought of entire philosophy. Now, one thing we are clear. one thing we are clear, that don't focus on limited goods, focus on unlimited goods. This you're going to get through knowledge. If you have knowledge, then you will get into the right track. You will get these unlimited goods. Happiness, love, peace, bliss, everything you're going to get with this. Now the question is, someone asked Socrates, sir, how are we going to get the knowledge? Tell us, how are we going to get the knowledge? Now this is where Socrates says that I have a method. Socrates doesn't like the traditional method in which sophists are teaching or any teacher is teaching. How teachers teach? They will come, they'll start speaking, they'll continuously speak and they'll tell you that I know the knowledge. Teacher will behave in this manner that I have the knowledge, take it from me, I'm just speaking, just grab it, make notes and all. This is a sophist method which Socrates doesn't like. Socrates says, this is not the way you can get knowledge. You have the mind, you have the reasoning capability. Socrates says everyone has got this reasoning capability which you can use. And you can think about things. So what Socrates uses is a method called dialectic method. Socrates uses a method called dialectic method to get knowledge. What is dialectic method? Simple. What I'll do is, I know that you don't have the knowledge about something. What I'll do is, I'll ask a question to you. Now you will answer with whatever limited knowledge you have, you will answer me. Now I will ask you a cross question. When I ask cross question, you will think about it. Then you will answer me. I'll again ask any other cross question. So I'll keep on asking, you keep on answering. When I will keep on questioning, you will think about it. When you think, this leads to something called critical thinking. Just to give you an example, let's say if I ask someone, what do you think about Prime Minister Modi? Is he a good politician or a bad politician or whatever? So let's say some person says he's a very bad person. Okay. Now I'll keep on asking him questions. Why do you think he's bad? He'll give me some few things. He'll tell this. That's why I don't like Prime Minister Modi. Now I will give him the other side of the fact. But he has done these things. Now don't you think a person who is doing these good things, he's a good person? Now he will think about it. I'm not saying whether he's getting converted to this side or not. No. The job of the teacher is to make students think. Socrates says the job of the teacher is not to teach or not to preach, but to just make his students think about it. Just bring that curiosity. If the students start thinking, if they go for this critical thinking, they themselves are going to get the knowledge. You don't need to preach the knowledge. They will themselves they themselves are going to find out the true knowledge. You don't need to give that. So Socrates follows this method called dialectic method. He's saying through dialectic method, everyone is going to get or going to develop critical thinking ability. And once you develop this critical thinking ability, you will think about things. You will think about everything. Even till now you were looking at power and money, that this is important, but once you develop this critical thinking, you'll think about it. What will I do with this money? Even if I have 1 crore rupees with me, but if my health is getting affected, what will I do with it? Useless. What will I do with this money if my parents left me, if they die, or if my friends are not with me? What will I do? Useless. You will think. I'm not saying you will think in the same manner, but you will think about it. And when you think, Socrates is saying, you will anyway reach to know that you should focus on unlimited good, not that limited ones. Okay, so that's how his entire theory is kind of a circle that you just need to understand. Okay, so just this diagram also, if you want to make, you can make it. Ask yourself, self-introspect, examine. examine, you refute. Now this is happening in the dialectic method, that you ask something to someone, that person will think about it, examine. Firstly he might say no, I'll not accept it. Then he might refine his thought, and then he will reach to the truth. Okay, or this is one way. You self-reflect, that is, an unexamined life is not worth living. So you examine your life, you go for self-introspection, self-reflection. When you reflect, you get knowledge. When you get the right knowledge, the true knowledge, this knowledge will lead to right action. Now if you remember, earlier also we have discussed this part. Your thoughts and your action, these are linked to one another. So when you get true knowledge, that will be reflected in your action. That's why you're going to take the right action. When you take this right action, it has become your virtue, right? Your virtue, and then this will lead to your happiness. You'll be very, very happy. That's it. So getting the point, this is the philosophy of Socrates. If you have any doubts, please ask. Done? No doubts? Very good. Now this is the core philosophy that you need to know. Nothing else is needed actually. Now what happened with Socrates, there is a story involved wherein he was given a poison because he was not ready to go against what he is preaching, what he is teaching, whatever he is preaching. So the system did not like that. System wanted to listen to them. But Socrates was very clear. He was like, put me in jail, kill me, give me whatever. So he was given poison, that is called hemlock, by these ignorant people. That's a very bad tragedy when it comes to Socrates. That a very good person, a very wise person was killed by the ignorant mob, right? Now this Socrates, as he was a teacher, he must have some students, right? He had some students. One of that student is named as Plato. So we have to read about Plato also. Plato is also an important thinker for us. Okay, and because this person, Socrates, was killed by people, Plato doesn't like one thing, that is democracy. Because at that time in ancient Greece, there was democracy. So in democracy, people used to take decisions. Now here the problem is, there is one person who is Socrates, who is very wise. And on the other hand, there are all the people whom we call as mob. This mob is ignorant. And here you have democracy. What happens in democracy? Demo means people, krasi means, or kratos means the rule by people. People will rule, people will decide what will happen, what will not happen. So in ancient Greece, people decided what will happen. People didn't like what Socrates was saying, or people didn't like that Socrates is not accepting what they wanted to. So people decided to give him this hemlock or poison. Okay, so that's all about Socrates. Now we'll talk about his very good student, whose name is Plato. Okay, now Plato talks, if you read about Plato, his philosophy is very much similar to what Socrates has said. So we say many times, it is being said that whatever Plato is saying is nothing but what Socrates has said. Okay, but we find some differences also, wherein Plato is taking the philosophy or whatever content, whatever knowledge Socrates has given and made some additions in it. He said something which Socrates did not say. For us, we need to grab his core idea, what Plato wanted to say, and wherever while writing answers in ethics or while writing essay, wherever if we can utilize that, we'll utilize that part. Now, I think Socrates was a very good philosopher. You can use his example, you can use his lines like this: an unexamined life is not worth living, knowledge is virtue, or his dialectic method, you can use this content anywhere in the answers. Wherever it is possible, use it. Or basically to understand philosophy, now you can understand the purpose of life, the happiness, how things are linked, how he has explained. That explanation will stay with you. Okay. Similarly, we will try to get the idea of Plato. Plato is a very idealist person. So here you will understand how idealist people think. Very ideal. Plato is very ideal. And Plato specifically talks about something called as ideas. Now what Plato says, first of all, again, he gets back to what Socrates was saying, that people don't have knowledge. People don't have knowledge. And he explains through an example. He shows that whatever you know is not the real knowledge. It's something else only. So here Plato is telling people that whatever your beliefs are, whatever your thoughts are, whatever the way you think, everything is false, everything is wrong. How he says that? So there is a story called as allegory of caves. So please look at this thing. Assume this is a cave. This is a cave, obviously. And this is the person. Assume you are this person. You are sitting in a cave and your face is towards the cave and not towards the outside things. Okay, you're looking at the cave or the wall of the cave. Okay. Now, in this cave, already there is darkness. Now we have put one light over here and the reflection which is coming over here, this person is showing something over here and this is visible on the wall. Now look at this thing. This person has taken a non-living thing, maybe this is made up of plastic or something, and he's just moving it. What this person is observing, for him, it's a bird which is moving. Do you see real bird over here? In reality, is there any bird? There is no bird. But what is visible to this person at this moment? That there is a bird. So this is a story called as allegory of cave, through which Plato is trying to tell you that what you see is not the reality. What you see right now here is a bird. This is not reality, bro. The reality is there is no bird. Actually, there is some instrument which is made up of plastic. There is a person behind who is deliberately trying to show you this thing. First of all, this is your false idea, false thing. Second, it's a shadow. It's a shadow which is being shown to you by someone. Deliberately, someone is trying to show you a shadow of a false idea. So he's saying, look at the reality and don't look at the shadow of idea. Come to this point, if you can come. Reality is different, and the shadow that he is observing is a shadow of idea. This is something this person has thought, I'll show this person. And this is the shadow. So please understand, he's trying to say something that you consider as reality is a false idea, and something that is reality that you cannot come to know with this. If you remain in this cave, if you're continuously in this cave and people are showing you reality in this manner, you consider reality that this is a bird, but it's a shadow. It's a shadow of an idea which is false. This is not true. Do you think this person has got true knowledge about his life or about whatever happening here? He doesn't have true knowledge. Whatever knowledge he has, if you ask him, what did you see? He'll say bird. He's very clear about it. Even if you give him any evidence, or if you try to convince this person, he'll not listen easily. He'll say, I know bro, I have seen. So here Plato says, reality is shadow of ideas. This is the statement of Plato. He says, reality is shadow of idea. That means you see the reality as a shadow of an idea, and this is something very wrong. What do you need? You need real knowledge. What do you need? You need real knowledge. How you are going to get real knowledge? If you stay in this cave throughout your life, are you going to know the reality or real knowledge? No. So for that, you have to get out of this cave. You have to come out of this cave, then you will understand that, oh bro, I was there in the cave and that's why I was seeing this shadow as reality. Once you come out of the cave, then you will see reality as it is. As it is. That's the idea of even enlightenment, we say. That you see the reality as it is. That's the true knowledge. So he's saying, once you get out of cave, what will happen? Suddenly there is a sunlight. It will be very difficult for you to, your eyes to feel that. Means suddenly, since a long time, you haven't seen any sunlight. You were in darkness. Suddenly you came out of darkness. Suddenly there is such a flash of sunlight. It's very difficult. It's very painful for you. Plato says, getting out of this cave, it's a very painful process. So for a person who wants to know the real knowledge, get out of this ignorance, the false knowledge, the process is going to be a bit painful. Because suddenly when he gets to this real knowledge, he can't absorb it easily. He can't be very with ease with it. He will not be comfortable with it. Okay? But after some time, he'll become comfortable. And he'll just see the complete sunlight. He'll see the cave. He'll see everything now. So that's the core part of his theory, wherein he says, reality is shadow of ideas. See the reality as it is. Or what you need as a reality means you need knowledge. You need true knowledge. You are ignorant, you need knowledge. If you have knowledge, you will look at the realities as it is and not look at the ideas that are given to you. Some ideas are being shown to you, you won't look at those ideas. You will look at the reality. Okay. This is one part of his thought. The second part is, he talks about ideas, and specifically he talks about the ideal thing. As I said, Plato is an idealist. So he will talk about something that is ideal, something, the idea of perfectionism, idea of idealism. What he will do is, whatever perfect that can exist, he will talk about it. And he says that the idea in itself is very important. If you think about it, then you will know that an ideal form is possible. So specifically, he actually talks about idea of ideal state. How can we make an ideal state, ideal country, ideal citizens and everything? How can we make that? He's an idealist. He'll think about the ideal stuff. How can we make the best version of the state? So at that time, when Plato is there in the Greece, at that time there were many wars going on between Athens and Sparta, and he gets to know that why these wars are taking place, why a particular country is losing the war, what's exactly happening. He came to know that the rulers of the country, those who are ruling, the king, these rulers are ignorant. They don't have true knowledge. They are also having those shadow of idea. They are not having true knowledge as such. They are ignorant. Now because they are ignorant, what they will do? They'll focus on power. They'll focus on money. And as Socrates said, when you are ignorant, when you focus on power and money, what do you become? You become a corrupt person. you become a corrupt person. So Plato says, because these rulers are ignorant, because they are very ignorant, that's the reason they are very corrupt, and that's the reason all these wars are going on, all these instability is there, life is not good. Life is not good. Nobody is actually happy here. And that's why he says this is not a good state as such. If we want the best of the best ideal state, what do we need? We need that these rulers should have the real knowledge, or we will call real knowledge as knowledge. Rulers need to have knowledge, because right now rulers don't have knowledge. That's the reason why our condition is so bad. If rulers have knowledge, that means the ruler who is having knowledge will not focus on money or power. What this ruler will focus on in reality, he will focus on the true happiness of himself as well as the entire country. Right? Now, if you want to imagine a person having true knowledge, whom can you imagine? You can imagine Socrates. Plato used to imagine Socrates always. When he was writing his theory, maybe he was imagining Socrates. So ideally he says, if we want an ideal state, the perfect state, the best of the best, make a philosopher king. Why philosopher a king? You know about philosophy? Philosophy means love for knowledge. Phila means love. Phila means love. Sophia means knowledge. When you call someone as philosopher, he is a person who is in love with knowledge. Who is in love with knowledge. He has got the true knowledge. And a person who loves knowledge, who is into knowledge, who has the real knowledge, he will not be interested in money and all. He'll focus on the real thing. He'll focus on his values and he will be on that path. He will develop virtues. He'll act very good. He'll do what is needed actually. Such a king, if he is ruling, will this person be corrupt? No. There won't be any corruption if a person of knowledge is ruling. Okay. So overall, what Plato wants is knowledge to rule. When he is saying philosopher should become a king or philosopher king is needed, he's not talking about human being or a person as a philosopher to become king. He's talking about knowledge to rule this world. If knowledge will rule, everything will be sorted out. Everything will be very ideal. Everything will be very perfect. That's the idea of perfection or idealism that Plato brings in. His vision of ideal state. Now, when we talk about ideal state, what does he mean? What is he trying to showcase? He's saying that in an ideal state, what will happen? All the citizens will be happy. In an ideal state, all the citizens will be happy. Now, for all the citizens to be happy, what needs to be done? Again, go back to the same theory of Socrates. What Socrates was saying? You need knowledge. You need to develop virtues. You need to develop virtues. That means you need to do the act which aligns, or I'll write it down here. You have to become virtuous, or you need to develop virtues. Means you have to, each and every person, each and every citizen has to act in such a way wherein their action aligns with their true or real nature or their real values. Right? So whatever is my real nature, if I develop that virtue, if I work on that, if I do the same action, I'll be very happy. I'll be very happy. Now this applies to all the citizens. Now Plato gives a complete theory. How we will do this with every citizen. He says, we need a just society, an ideal society. We need justice in the ideal society. We will check all the citizens, what do they have? He says, everyone's nature is not same. Everyone's nature is not same. Everyone has got some natural innate nature or innate talent or innate capabilities. So he divides people on 3 lines. 1, people having reason dominating in them. 2, people having courage dominating in them. And then 3, people having appetite dominating in them. Now think about this. There are some people in whom reason dominates. They think, they critically think, their IQ level is very high. Think about this dimension. There are some people who are capable of becoming very knowledgeable, or they can become philosophers also. He says these are different kinds of people. These are different kinds of people. Then some people in whom you observe they are very courageous. They have that emotional will element very stronger in them. Okay, in their mind, they can't critically think the way a philosopher can think, but they are fighter kind of person. They are kind of warriors. They are daring, courageous people. He says this is a different category altogether. And then he said the rest of the population, they are the people with appetite. They are the people with appetite. They can't think the way these philosophers do. They don't even have the courage. They just have appetite. They want to, they want to fulfill their desires. They have so many desires which they want to fulfill. See the difference between a person having so many desires and a courageous person. Think about a military man and an army man. He compromises with many desires to remain as an army personnel. He compromises. A normal human being can't do that. Because that normal human being is a person in whom appetite is dominating. And look at this person, a person of knowledge, a philosopher. Philosophers, they don't even have any desire. They remove all the desires. Is this possible with this person? No. Is this possible with this army man? No, even that is not possible with them. So he's saying these 3 different kinds of people are there, which you have to accept first of all. Reason is there in everyone, courage is there in everyone, appetite is there in everyone. The problem is, in some people, appetite dominates, in some people, courage dominates, and in some people, reason dominates. That's a problem. Okay, that's not a problem actually. He says this is how people are. Now, what we will do to make an ideal society, an ideal state, we will give people the task or the knowledge or the work in which they are good. If you are a person of reason, in whom the reason dominates, you should study. You should study for next 30 years, 40 years. You become a philosopher. We will keep on giving you study material. You just study, you do research. You are a person of reason. You become a scientist, you become a philosopher. Likewise. Second category, you are a person of courage. So what we'll do is, we'll put you in army, we'll put you in police and all. We'll give you that task. And if you're a person of appetite, we'll give you all the rest of the things. You become farmer, you become a businessman, you become all these things. Because you have desires, you can't control your desires. It's not possible for you. What will happen when we will organize society in this manner? He's saying everyone will be happy. This person has desires and he is completing his desires, he's happy. Whatever he wanted to do. This person had courage dominating. If you would have put this person here, or you would have given any other task to this person, instead of putting him in a person who has got courage, instead of putting him in police or army, if you put him in some other thing, he'll not do good with his life. Neither he'll do good with him, nor with others, nor he will be happy with his life. But if you put him in this right section, he'll be very happy. A person of reason, he'll also be very happy. Because he's interested in knowledge and he's continuously getting knowledge. He's very happy. So that's how he wants to organize the entire society, entire state. When every person will do the task which he must do because it is his real nature. So first, Plato wants to identify who has got which kind of talent, who has got which kind of natural ability, whether reason dominates in you, whether courage dominates in you, or whether appetite dominates in you. Plato wants to find it out and then want to give you that work only. You will specialize in your work. You will specialize in your work. You just do that thing. There's a shoemaker. There is a shoemaker. He has natural talent, natural instinct, or rather his innate capability involves in which he can make good shoes. Now he will do it. Now he'll do it. He'll enjoy the process. He'll enjoy the process. He will be happy. And he will do a really excellent work. He'll make really good shoes. If you make a person of courage a shoemaker, he will not make a good shoe, first of all. Secondly, he will not be happy with his life. But in this case, this shoemaker, first of all, he'll do really good work because he's enjoying the process. So he'll make really good shoes. And he'll be very happy also. He will be very excellent in his work. He will be specializing in his work. That's how he is trying to build a society. Okay, that's how he sees that there will be justice prevailing in the society. Justice for Plato is that you give the person the task, the work which he can do, which aligns with his natural abilities. If you give him that work, if you specialize, and if you don't interfere, don't make a person of courage let work in the segment of person of appetite. Don't mix up things. Just specialize, let them work this way. Everyone will be happy in this manner. Okay. And how this will happen? This will only happen if ruler has knowledge. Because decision-making power is there with the ruler, right? If ruler has knowledge, then only he can make all these arrangements. He can give the education, he can take the tests and get all these things sorted out. All this will be happening only if ruler is philosopher, if the ruler has got knowledge or the knowledge is ruling on you. Okay, so that's the core idea of Plato. Simple. Any doubt? If you have, please ask about Plato. It's a very good philosopher to remember, and you can write it down in answers wherever you can utilize his thoughts. Try to use it. Okay, you can look at this. Innate virtues, if you have, you get education, right role allocation. What do we mean by that? You already have some innate values, innate virtues. You have that natural tendency. Now we will give you the knowledge in the same direction. Okay. Then we will give you the same role, the kind of capabilities you have. See, if you remember, we talked about something called aptitude earlier. Somewhere he is going in the same direction. He's saying we'll give you the work for which you have the aptitude, natural inclination. So this is justice for Plato. If someone is doing what he's made for doing, then that's the justice, that's the ideal state. Everyone will be happy. There's a word that they use, eudaimonia. This is the state of happiness in which Plato wants everyone to reach to. State of eudaimonia. Even Aristotle talks about it. Now, just like Socrates had a student who's called Plato, Plato has got a student called Aristotle. Okay? Any doubt on Plato? Please ask. Now, what you're supposed to do is just use these ideas wherever needed, or use these quotes in your essays or in the ethics answers wherever you can use, or just do nothing. Whatever I'm telling you, this will build your mindset to understand philosophy as a section. So in case there is any other quote, you will interpret it better. Because of this understanding of philosophy as a discipline, you at least have that fundamental understanding of philosophy. Okay, even that understanding will be very helpful when even you are given any quote, when you are interpreting, at least your mind will be ready for it. Okay, and you can confidently look at any quote without being very underconfident. Fine. So we're done with Plato. Now let's talk about Aristotle. Although see, if we talk about their philosophies, it's not like hardly we are taking 10-15 minutes to take up one philosopher. If we start talking about these philosophers in detail, their philosophy in detail, I don't think even 5-6 hours are enough for just one philosopher, because that's the depth they carry. Now, if you read their books, I think we can take 10 lectures on one philosopher only. But that's not the right way to prepare for this examination. We're preparing for UPSC, so we'll keep ourselves very much aligned with the requirement of exam, and we have to be very practical on this. So practically, whatever fundamental things need to be learned, we will focus on that dimension, and rest of the things we will just try to filter out. Okay. Now we have someone called Aristotle. Earlier also I had talked about Aristotle. Now one interesting or important thing Aristotle talks about: ethics and politics. These two disciplines. He calls them phronesis. He calls them phronesis. Phronesis means practical wisdom. Actually, Aristotle tried to categorize knowledge. So he said knowledge is not of one kind. There will be one kind of knowledge which you learn through this cognitive method. You study, you read books, you learn from teachers and all. That is one method through which you learn, but those subjects are different. Let's say if you are studying mathematics, you can learn mathematics in a different manner. The method itself will be very different because the subject is different. But when it comes to ethics and politics, Aristotle says you can't learn them the way you are learning maths. Rather, they are practical subjects, or he called it practical wisdom. The meaning of phronesis is practical wisdom. What does it mean by being practical wisdom? Think about it. Leave ethics, think about politics. I'll give you 50 books of politics. The best 50 books written on politics, I'll give it to you. You read all these books. Then I'll give you good lectures of some good teachers who are teaching politics, political science, political philosophy, everything. You read it for next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. You complete your degree, masters, everything. Okay. You've done all that, and now, if I ask you, can you do politics? Can you do politics? Can you become a politician? Can you perform this task? Can you do this? No. Then what's the use of this knowledge? See, a scientist, given the knowledge of science, given the knowledge of maths, he can utilize that. He learnt science, he studied it, now he's doing experiments, now he's performing tasks, he's making some kind of a new technology. He's using that knowledge. If knowledge is not getting used, then what's the use of that knowledge? If knowledge doesn't turn out into any action, what's the use of it? So if you have studied so much about politics, and now you're not in a position to do politics, what's the use of it? No use. So here, what Aristotle is trying to say is, politics is not a subject that you should study academically like mathematics. It's useless. It's a practical wisdom. You have to practically learn it. There are many politicians, or maybe most of them, they never studied any book on political science or politics or political philosophy. They didn't. But still, they are good politicians. They know politics really well. They know how to do politics. Because it's a practical wisdom. They have learnt it practically. They have learnt it through practice. When we say practical, practice element is involved. You have to practice it. By doing, you learn it. Okay? So he says, ethics and politics, these are phronesis or practical wisdoms. For us, more than politics, ethics matters. We are studying ethics, so remember this line. Ethics is a practical wisdom. It makes no sense by studying ethics. Even UPSC knows this thing. That just by studying ethics, nothing is going to happen. Ethics has to be practiced. That's why many students, they have written the exam, cleared, they scored really high in the ethics paper, but still do something really horrible after getting selected in the service. Okay? You can mention such examples also. This is one thing that Aristotle specifically talked about. Second thing he talks about is virtue as golden mean. Now there is a difference of thought when it comes to Plato and Aristotle. Plato was very idealist person, right? Very idealist. He gave importance to ideas. He thought about the most ideal thing. Aristotle is a bit practical person. He's not that idealist. He doesn't like idealist thoughts because he thinks idealism is not possible. Whatever you think as ideal thing, that's not possible in reality. Perfectionism, that is also not possible in reality. So he goes for what is practically possible. He goes for what is practically possible. So he focuses on that practical element. For that, he brings something called golden mean. So you see over here, if you can read this part. Virtue, deficiency and excess. If something is present in you or more, is present in more quantity, it will be in excess. It will be in excess. If something is not present at all or is in very less quantity, then we call it is having deficiency. Now these two are very contradictory things. Something in more quantity, something in less quantity, or something is present or something is absent. These are contradictory things. Okay. And these are extreme things. Having deficiency or having excess, these are extreme things. Now, when you ask Plato about something, Plato looks at things in black and white. He says, you have deficiency, you need something in excess. When he thinks about ideal thing, he goes into that excess element, which Aristotle says, you don't need to go, you need to come to the central point, somewhere in the mid. That midpoint is your virtue, is what Aristotle says. So think about that. If we think about the dimension of courage, if you do not have courage at all, you have very less courage, or you do not have courage at all, that means there is a deficiency of courage in you. What will happen? If there is deficiency of courage, there is no courage, you will be considered as a coward person. You can't do anything, you don't have daring at all, right? This kind of person you will become if courage is not present or courage is very less. Deficiency is there. Now exactly reverse, if you have lot of courage in excess, not in the quantity it is required, but rather way more, excess courage, way more, what will happen? You become a very rash person, very rash. What you'll do? If someone said something, you'll slap that person. You're very courageous, right? You become rash. If the courage goes beyond a certain limit, it becomes excess, that's a problematic stuff. And if it is deficient, that is also problematic stuff. What you need is a balance, or what you need is a middle point or middle path, or what you need is a golden mean. Golden mean between these two extremes. One extreme is this rashness, we said, this is one extreme, and other extreme is being cowardice. Aristotle is saying, come to this middle point. come to this middle point. This is the golden mean, and this golden mean is called as virtue. So for example, between being cowardice and between being rashness, in between at the central point, what you will become is the really courageous person. So courage actually comes here. This is a person who is having courage. Not extreme end of this, not extreme end on this. Okay. So he calls virtue as the golden mean. Okay. Apart from this example, you can take any of that. For example, bluntness and dishonesty. Some people are completely dishonest. They will never say anything in an honest manner. They will lie every single time. That's one extreme, being dishonest. Now this is one extreme. There we see the value is not present at all. Deficiency of value is there. Values deficiency is there. On the other extreme, things are in excess, where you become blunt. At the midpoint, you have an honest person. So virtue will be here. So he looks at things this way. Okay, he looks at things this way. If you can utilize it in the answers, best. Otherwise, just the way we utilize the concept of Buddha, middle path. So it's the same concept given by Aristotle to some extent, wherein he talks about golden mean. So you can add Aristotle also over there while we are using Buddha. Okay. And if you ask Aristotle what is the ultimate goal of life, is to get eudaimonia, he will say. Is the same thing which almost Plato has said, that is the kind of happiness, the ultimate level of happiness where you get the satisfaction of life. Your life is flourishing. That's the state he really wants. And how you will achieve that? Actualizing your virtues and potentials, leading a life of purpose. Now, this is the same thing which I have discussed already when I was teaching emotional intelligence. I was talking about self. See, it's very interesting. Thousands of years back, when such a philosopher was there, he talked about the same thing which we are struggling through right now. That self-actualize. Become the best version of you. Whatever potential you have, just get that. When you get that, when you self-actualize, the kind of happiness you will have is beyond our imagination. That state is the state of eudaimonia. Okay? That is the state of eudaimonia. Clear? So that's the basic stuff which you need to know about Aristotle. For now, this much is needed. So we'll just stop Aristotle here only. Okay. Now we have some more philosophers like Machiavelli. We have some other philosophers. So we'll do one thing. We'll just discuss Machiavelli in brief. Okay. And the rest of the philosophers will continue in the next lecture. Okay. So what is the idea, basic idea Machiavelli brings in? Machiavelli is a person who makes separation between politics and ethics. And he is a person who supports teleology completely. And here he looks at teleology in a way wherein you can utilize things for negative stuff. So for example, you want to achieve your purpose, and for that, if you have to do something wrong, just do it, not a problem. Use wrong methods, not a problem. Actually, Machiavelli was not a bad person as such, rather he was trying to show the reality of the world as it is. So he's a person who actually studied the psychology. So he was more interested in the human psychology and the history. And by studying history and human psychology, he came to know that human nature is very interesting. Human nature in itself is very selfish, coward, ungrateful, and greedy. He's saying everyone is selfish. Everyone is coward. Everyone is ungrateful and greedy. Means if you do something for a person, he won't care about it. He'll forget it. Everyone is greedy also, everyone is selfish also. He focuses on this part. And the core theory of Machiavelli is around his book called The Prince. In his book, what he's trying to do is, if you want to become a king, if you want to become a king, just like an entrepreneur who wants to set up a business. So if there's a book which you read, and after that, if you follow that, you'll become an entrepreneur. Similarly, if you can read this book, The Prince, you can become a king. He's telling you how you can become a king, how you can grab all the power, you become a king and you rule. You rule, how you can rule also. All that aspects he is trying to touch. Now in this, Machiavelli specifically says that the prince should be clever like fox and brave like lion. Very interesting. He's not saying the king should be ethical. See the difference of thoughts. On one hand, Plato was saying knowledge should rule. A person of knowledge, a philosopher should rule. One thing I forgot to tell you about Plato. When he said philosopher should become king, he's saying that this philosopher will not have any greed. He will not have any passion to do something or become something. He will not be a corrupt person. So he will never take any wrong decision as such. This is what the thought was. Look at Machiavelli. He's saying the prince should be clever like fox and brave like lion. Clever like fox. Because when you are becoming a king, when you are into the stream of politics, it's not a good game. It's a game where dirty hands are needed. So you have to do some dirty tactics. So you should be very clever, very sharp, very clever like fox. And you should have courage also. You should have courage also. So you have to behave like lion also. You have to be brave. Okay. So this is something he's saying over here. Now, one core idea that we need to focus on, because there are many things he said, but the most important thought that is important for us is the difference in ethics and politics. Machiavelli is very clear that politics as a stream is altogether different, and you cannot bring that morality or ethics in politics. It's a power game completely, and to get power, to survive, there will be so many people involved. Everyone wants power, and if you want to get it for yourself, you can't be ethical as such. You might need to do something wrong. So for example, you are the king. If a philosopher is a king, he won't take any wrong thing. He won't do anything wrong. He will not kill anyone. He will not even go ahead with any war with other country. What Machiavelli will say, if war will bring us some profit, then go for war, no problem. So for him, politics has nothing to do with ethics as such. He supports the idea that in politics, ends justify the means. Now, understand one thing. In ethics, what we are saying that means is also important, end is also important. All these things we thought about. He says, when you are into politics, see, politics in itself is a very different stream. You can't behave in the manner, you can't judge the action of a politician or a king the way you judge the action of a normal human being. Why? He's saying, see, ruler has different responsibility altogether. He has to save his country. He has to take care of the national interest. Now, in national interest, if the ruler takes right actions or wrong actions, let's see, ruler takes this one action which is ethical one, and ruler takes another action which is unethical one. Okay, if you start judging his action by deontology, he's saying that's not the right way for the king. Think about Prime Minister Modi, or think about any king. What is important? Let's say India-Pakistan relations. Think about it. If we just go by ethical means, just we will never take any wrong action, we'll never do anything wrong. He says that is not in the national interest. They will do something harm to you. So if the king goes for any wrong action also, any unethical action also, let's say we go for nuclear attack on Pakistan, or we go for some wrong tactics in the war, or whatever, we are going for surveillance against Pakistan, we are continuously doing something unethical things, or we are going for some suicide bombs in that country, whatever. Just think about that dimension, wherein ruler might need to take some unethical action, because even after in case you do ethical action or whether you do unethical action, people are going to judge ruler, whether ruler has done right thing or wrong thing, on the basis of the final result. If the result seems good, people will call him good king. If results seem bad, people will call him bad king. So it doesn't matter action is ethical or unethical. That's why Machiavelli is saying, you don't need to compare the ethics of normal human being or normal citizen with the ethics of a ruler or a prince. Sometimes for the national interest, he might need to do some dirty hand stuff or wrong stuff, unethical things. So the ethics in politics is altogether different. That's why he is delinking ethics and politics. He is delinking ethics and politics. Now this is one of the most controversial idea, most debated idea. Again, I will bring this idea when we will discuss Gandhiji. So in philosophers, we have to deal with Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi is a person who rather brings ethics and politics together. He says you cannot segregate ethics and politics. Okay, so this is one core idea where we have to come again, think about it again. Clear? That's the most important idea. Apart from that, there are many other things he has talked about, even in international relations, that realism, the concept of realism which comes into picture, that is somewhere linked to Machiavelli to some extent. Okay, so that's all about Machiavelli for now. So we have discussed Socrates as a philosopher. We understood his idea, core idea, that is about the knowledge as virtue. An unexamined life is not worth living, right? Ultimate aim of life, the good life. What is good life? How you can get it? That idea you understood. So anyhow, if you can understand at the end whatever Socrates said, if you have grabbed the core meaning, he's saying being ethical, living an ethical life will give you happiness, contentment, satisfaction, or ethics will bring eudaimonia. So here ethics doesn't mean whatever society has made as rules. If you remember, in the first lecture I talked about the difference between two different meanings. One meaning was for moral order in the society. Society had made some norms and rules and principles. Here we are not talking about that ethics. Here we are talking about your core purpose of life, your core values, what you really want to become, right? If you act accordingly, you become virtuous person. That means you become an ethical person. Then where you reach? You reach to this stage, the stage of true happiness, real happiness, complete happiness, satisfactory life. Okay, so this was the meaning which I discussed in the first lecture, where I talked about ethics. Means ethics. In ethics, we get to know the purpose of life and the means to achieve that purpose. That means is those virtues. Okay, that was Socrates. Then we discussed Plato, and we reached to this core idea of that knowledge should rule. Knowledge should rule in our country or in any of the country. Okay, this idea can even be linked with Indian society to some extent, wherein even the ideal idea of Indian society had been the knowledge should rule. Okay, and then Aristotle, we understood his basic idea of virtue as golden mean, and Machiavelli, the core idea, ethics and politics cannot go together. Ethics and politics are completely contradictory and they cannot be together at all. Ethics of the prince will be very different from the ethics of normal human being or citizen. So that's how we looked at things over here. Okay, So with this, we will wrap up this session for today. If you have any doubts, you can ask, or we will just wrap up the session. We'll meet in the next session and we'll complete the remaining thinkers and philosophers, and we'll move ahead with the next chapter or theme. Okay, I'll give you just 1 minute. You can tell if you have any question or just wrap up the session. Okay, then meet on the next session. Thank you so much for joining.